Morning, guys.
Who are you talking to?
People in the Twitch chat room.
Oh, that's right. I should switch over. John, about the only thing I got right was baseball. Got 3 out of the 4 series right.
The hell was that last night? Checking for substance.
Well, you know what caused it? Apparently the damn internet. There was stuff on the internet about how shiny apparently his ears were. Then I guess nowadays they keep track. His spin rate was better on all his pitches than it had been all year.
And he was throwing faster than he had been all year, too.
Well,
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Monday. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a decent weekend. Hope it was better than the one before. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, how was your weekend? Did it fit that criteria?
I had a good weekend. I did. I went out to dinner with some friends on Saturday, had a lot of family time. No, fantastic weekend. In and around a ton of football on television, even a little baseball. I even watched a few laps of the race yesterday.
Wow, look at you, a road course race at that.
It said a few laps. I didn't watch that much of it. I just happened to tune in and see that it was on.
Well, they'll be in Vegas this weekend. All right. No left-hand turns this weekend, or no right-hand turns, I should say.
Right.
This weekend. It'll just be left-hand turns in Vegas. It'll be more to your liking. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I've had a good football weekend so far. An unexpected delight in Tuscaloosa Saturday night, where a 24-plus point underdog nearly pulled one off on a weekend in which, on paper, the games looked terrific, and most of them did not deliver.
No, lots of blowouts on Saturday. And you got the best game of the week, and it was a primetime dandy. So that was fantastic to see Alabama forced to struggle, forced to some turnovers. They were tested for the first time this year, and they passed the test. Although I don't think it was, the toughest class in the world in Texas A&M, if you know what I mean, David.
Well, when you commit 4 turnovers and you're playing with your backup quarterback and you still win, that's one way to spin it. The other way to spin it is they need to get Bryce Young back, or it's not going to remain a donut in the right-hand column. I mean, they got at Tennessee, they got to host Mississippi State, they got at Ole Miss. Never mind if they were to get to Atlanta. So, they need Bryce Young. I think that is obvious. It's funny, Mark, they sort of resemble an NFL team in which, outside of the Dallas Cowboys, you really need your starting quarterback. Just ask the Miami Dolphins.
What a disastrous Sunday for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, when on the first basically offensive play that your backup quarterback runs, he gets knocked out of the game. I mean, right then and there, don't you start asking, so what time does the plane leave?
Can you live bet fast enough is really what the question was at that point.
Right. And then shortly thereafter, both starting offensive tackles will be on the sidelines hurt. So let me get this straight. We're playing our third string quarterback, and our starting tackles are not playing. Well, this should go well. And amazingly, it was a 2-point game going to the fourth. I'm actually not going to bang on them too badly before finally the dam burst. I'm surprised it took that long to burst. But once you lose 2 in a row, people start doubting you. Okay, they forget the circumstances. Just about everybody in the NFL's got circumstances. So now you know who has to come back, and they got to start winning games.
You know, and the real case of that, David, you're so right in that people don't care the reasons behind it, because I listened to smart NFL people pick on the Ravens all day yesterday and the pregame shows, a little bit of radio when I was driving around. Oh, how can this Ravens defense, how can they be the worst defense against the pass in the National Football League? Because both their corners were out.
And they've played with the lead for all but 14 seconds all year. So even though they were 2-2, teams were playing from behind. And so guess what you do when you're playing from behind? You throw the ball all the damn time.
And I mean, I'm talking smart NFL people, at least so I thought. I can't figure out what's wrong with their defense. Really? Because I don't know if we're the smartest show in the world. I don't think we are. But we knew why Baltimore's defense was struggling a little bit.
Besides, to hold Josh Allen and the Bills without your starting corners to 23 points, to me, it looks like a good defensive effort. In fact, I think if you had said to John Harbaugh before the game, Buffalo's going to score 23, he'd be like, well, hell, we're going to win then. Speaking of Buffalo, did they just score again?
They did, as a matter of fact. And it didn't matter where they started, on their own 2, on the 50, on the 20. It doesn't really seem to matter, David. They seem to be able to do whatever they wanted yesterday and score at ease. Now, I don't know, however, if while talking, Tom Brady tripped, fell down, and they called a penalty on Atlanta.
Well, Thursday night, the Broncos-Colts game was so bad. And, of course, people have the collective memories, of someone who lives week to week. But Thursday night's game was aesthetically so bad that there were people wondering, is this like the worst game we've ever seen? And I know seemingly every week we see the best or worst of fill in the blank that we've ever seen. But there were many people who went on the record at around 3:45 yesterday afternoon to say, this is the worst roughing the passing call in the history of the league. And the reaction from the Falcons head coach when he was told that was roughing the passer was priceless. Because he reacted the exact same way that we all did, whether we were in our living rooms or we were at an establishment or whatever it was. We put our hands over our mouth, which was a gape, like, you've got to be kidding me.
In a day when we pick up a lot of flags, like I do give the officials more credit now for picking up flags than ever before. They discuss things and say, you know what? Upon further review, that wasn't a penalty. How you don't pick that one up is beyond me. How someone else doesn't overrule that. And what a break for Tampa. What a break for Tampa.
Now, Marcus Mariota was still going to have to go the length of the field. But they had just, after 2.5 hours of doing virtually nothing, had just started to put a little something together. And you at least thought, well, they got a shot. They got a shot. They just scored the last time they had the ball.
Cordero Patterson changed his profile picture on Twitter to the screenshot of the referee making the call.
I will say, people blaming Brady for the call.
That is rich.
I mean, This is when you know people are sick and tired of you and they want you to go away. You're the one that gets flung to the ground, all right, and you're getting blamed for the call. And of course, the insinuation was that if it wasn't a quarterback of his stature, that the call would not have been made. Possibly.
Oh, I think 100%. I think certain guys, I mean, come on, we all know certain guys get calls.
Yes.
Well, they're blaming him because he whined and pouted about it and tried to kick Grady, the guy who sacked him, after he sacked him. And then he got the call.
This just in. Tom Brady is always screaming, yelling, and whining for a call. Those that like him say it shows how competitive he is. Those that don't like him say, look at him. He's a whining, complaining blankety blank. Giselle at one point in time referenced how competitive he was. Now she is even saying, look at what a whiner he is.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. She visited with the divorce attorneys yesterday while he was playing. Sunday hours. They were waiting for her at the office. Can only imagine what they're charging her. Like it matters. But I mean, when you're in the office on a Sunday afternoon to meet with your client, whew, man. Those billable
Who was
hours.
watching the kids?
Well, they were probably at the stadium, with family, watching the game. They were being supervised, Mark. Don't you worry.
Sure they were. Which nanny's on duty today?
Well, when you can afford an armada, okay, when you can afford as many nannies as the Alabama football team has interns.
Boy, and those interns are going to be busy this week.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
A lot of breakdowns to do. But it was a tough week. A tough week for the Florida teams, David. As the Dolphins take one on the chin, the Jags lose.
Oh, and Adam, our resident Twitch Jags fan, don't try to blame me. Yeah, I picked them to win. They were a 7-point favorite. I didn't bet them. By the way, if I had bet them, then of course they're going to lose.
More on that coming up later in the show. But the Bucs get a win, and then on Saturday, the Canes.
The Knowles.
And the Gators finally get an SEC win. But all in all, the state of Florida took it on the chin this football weekend with just the Gators and Bucs delivering W's.
South Florida, another overachieving the spread loss. Close loss at Cincinnati, 28-24.
Just can't wait for Miami Heat basketball to start.
Let me tell you, there are a few fan bases that may get there months before they normally do.
I need it, and I need it now.
So you've given up on the Dolphins is what you're saying?
No, it's just disappointing.
I just need another team to start because I can't bother to be watching this anymore with playing a third-string quarterback.
7th round rookie, third-string quarterback.
Hey, one thing we can conclude, he's no Bailey Zappi. All right?
Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Jimmy, when is someone going to blame the defense in Cleveland? You had a 14-0 lead, and the other team comes back and takes the lead before halftime, largely running the ball. But hey, keep that $45 million in cap room. Keep it in the bank. Don't go out and get an Ndamukong Suh. Don't go out and get some guys to stuff the middle of the defensive line. No, your run defense is fine.
Got my Dolphins hat on, Paul.
Well, Adam, I will say Doug Peterson's got a little Andy Reid in him, even when they won the Super Bowl. Oh, Paul, don't even talk about the stray cats. Although I think the new people are feeding them.
Uh-oh. Not again.
But my wife has just about forgotten about them, so let's not bring them up.
I was wondering when you guys were going to get one.
No.
Take you 4 months to even know.
Ten seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from Kansas City this morning, the site of Monday Night Football tonight. Chiefs look to get to 4-1. Raiders hope not to fall to 1-4. Kansas City is solid 7-point favorite, over under 51 and change. So, 29-22, 30-23, 28-21. That's basically give or take a point either way is where this game is seen before kickoff. Raiders and Chiefs, the first of back-to-back AFC West Monday Night Football games, Mark. Next week is Broncos and Chargers. And can we talk a little bit about Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers?
You mean up 2 on the 50 going for it on 4th down?
When the other team has no timeouts left and there's a minute 15 left in the game. Now, we're going to say that again if by chance you didn't know the scenario, and then tell you an amazing factoid. The Chargers led by 2. They had the ball 5 yards short of midfield. It was 4th and a short 2, a long yard, whatever you want to call it. At least 1.5 yards.
5 feet.
On their own 45, with a 2-point lead, a minute 15 to go, no timeouts left for their opponent. And guess what analytics said gave them the best chance to win? No, not punting. No. Analytics said the best chance to win was to go for it.
Here's what I don't know, David, and I don't, obviously I don't think it happens because you get analytics in your ear. It's very fast. This is a very rapid thing that goes on during the games. So while that gave them, according to analytics, their best chance to win the game, pretty safe assumption that not getting the 4th down gave them the best chance to lose the game.
One would think, considering that the other team's field goal kicker made a 8-9 yarder to win opening day. Hell, from where they're taking over, it's a 63 yarder. They don't need a whole lot more real estate to get in field goal range.
Nope.
Meanwhile, you punt the ball back to that legendary quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. Even if you punt the damn thing into the end zone, they take over on their own 20 with no timeouts and 1:10 to go in the game.
Oh, by the way, they're going to throw every down, so you can just pin your ear back and go after the quarterback every play.
And they have no timeouts. By the way, to have to throw every down takes what? Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb out of the equation running the ball. That's a big piece of the equation, considering the two guys had combined for over 210 rushing yards at that point in time. Yet somehow, some way, analytics, the numbers said, oh, well, you got to go for it here. Oh, okay.
And in fact, I can attest that the actual voice that he heard in his ears, what David said, you actually have to go for it right now. That's the voice that comes through for analytics.
That is the guy upstairs crunching the numbers saying in his ear, oh, you got to go for it, coach. You got to go for it. There are times during a broadcast in which they give me, for example, it's third and whatever. And I will say to them, if they don't gain a yard, is this a go? And that's me talking to the analytics people wanting to know if 3rd and 4 becomes 4th and 4, is this a go? And they will tell me. So when he makes the play call on 3rd down, he can get the information from somebody who can tell them anything less than 3 yards is a go. Because they're already crunching. They've got those numbers crunched going into 3rd down before you've even moved the ball a foot. But this is what we were kind of alluding to a week or so ago when we asked the poll question and included analytics. I mean, there are times in which I get, anything less than 9 yards is a go. And it's a situation like that. I don't even tell Troy. I don't tell him, because I want him, when I give him the analytics, to at least think they have some merit. So I don't tell him when it's absurd. And as you could see yesterday, there are times when, quote unquote, the analytics spit out an answer that the rest of us go, well, that's just damn ridiculous.
And it won't change. He'll still go for it. I think he'd still go for it if he lost the game.
I was so hoping that the Browns kicked the field goal and won, because I was wondering at what point does an owner then step in and go, you do it again, you're fired. I'm wondering if maybe there would have been a little mini revolt within the team. I mean, the defense had to be standing on the sidelines going, what the hell's he doing? Punt the damn ball. We'll stop him. Because by going for it, you're saying, I don't think my defense can stop Jacoby Brissett. I punt the ball to him. They're going to win.
They're going to go 90 yards. Well, not 90 because they just had to get a field goal, but they're going to go 40, 50 yards, kick the field goal, and win the game.
Right. So I might as well just go for it. I didn't realize the Cleveland Browns had Peyton Manning at quarterback. I didn't realize this was Belichick on the road in Indianapolis back in the day. Wow. I mean, Mark, it's not like Cleveland has Geno Smith at quarterback. I mean, the way he's playing, I might cut him a break. They got Jacoby Brissett, for goodness sakes.
And no timeouts in less than 1:20 left in the game. And they've been running the ball the whole day. But analytics said go for it. So he went for it.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, he ends up getting the victory because Cleveland's kicker missed another one, which is seeming to be end-of-game kicks are not what they once were, David. Holy cow.
Also, how many times did we see yesterday, first time a team scores a touchdown? All right. Cowboy. Mike McCarthy's been doing it since he got the job. Oh, we scored. We're up 6-0. Let's go for 2. Yeah, this is cute. This ain't Chip Kelly in Oregon, and you're playing, 7 teams in your conference that you could beat just when the bus gets to the damn stadium. How about Carolina yesterday? They cut it to 17-9. Matt Rule, go for 2. How about kick the damn extra point?
It's not the game we're in anymore. That is not the game we are in anymore.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm trying to still believe in analytics. I am. But these coaches, it's as if it just doesn't matter what is going on in front of them, Mark.
No, that to be fair, David, I actually give I don't agree with them, but I love their conviction because they're not at all dismayed by what is going on in front of them. You either believe in it 100% of the time or you believe in it 0% of the time, and that's the attitude they have. You and I are on the other side of this, David, but the fact of the matter is I at least give them credit for not quitting halfway through, and they're not quitting. They're going for it all the way to the very end. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, I agree with what you said in theory, that you can actually respect someone who is willing to listen. I'm married to this. I am going to go down in flames with this. This is what I believe, so I'm going to do it every single time. But it's kind of like when you're playing golf. I hit an 8-iron 150 yards, but for whatever reason that day, you're not hitting the ball very well. Okay. And now you've got to carry water and get it to the green. And do you trust today that I can hit this 8-iron? Okay. Or should I just play it safe and hit a 7 because I know I'll at least carry the hazard? That's the part about analytics that drive me crazy.
Oh, hey, I don't agree with them. I don't I think it's more like blackjack. If you're committed to hitting against 16 every time, then you hit against 16 every time.
Even if you're looking around and we're in the same, shuttle, and you've seen nothing but, low cards, and you're like, well, hell, the high cards got to start this,
I got you.
I know. But also it takes away a gut. Every now and then you got to have a gut feeling, right?
Well, they've eliminated. See, there is the ultimate question. They've eliminated a gut feeling for managers and coaches. They don't want them to think with their gut. They only want them to think with their heads based on what the analytics tell.
Right. Take Blake Snell out of the game. He's got a 2 hitter. What are you doing? The second hit was a broken bat 4-hopper that went through the infield. What are you doing? Kevin Cash and the Rays are never going to get in that spot again.
So I had to go to church Saturday because Maddie was serving.
Oh.
I'm in the parking lot listening to the game.
Which one?
Rays Indians.
Oh, okay.
Still going on.
Oh,
that's right. But it's an extra innings when I go to church. It's 4:00.
Right.
What a game that was. Zero in the bottom of the 15th.
Never happened before in the history of the sport. Nice plane. Oh, behind me?
David's doing his own scene from Airplane. At some point, that pitcher's going to crash through the gate.
I'm going to be high on glue, and I'm just going to stand on the couch and start talking to it.
Roger.
Roger. What's your vector, Victor?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll have a poll question for you after the top of the hour. We are 40 minutes away from the Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Right now, without further ado, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
the Tampa Bay Bucks are in first place in the South. They still are not playing well. And they dominated a game for 2.5 hours and then were nearly in a position to lose it. But Tampa Bay's 21-0 lead was enough. They held off the Falcons 21-15. They're the only team in the division with a winning record. They're 3-2. Tom Brady still has never lost to Atlanta, including playoffs. He's 11-0. Tom Brady still has not lost 3 games in a row in 20 years. Tampa Bay was, well, helped out. Jerome Boger and his crew, with maybe the worst roughing the passing call at all time, would have forced Tampa into a punting situation, and Marcus Mariota and company would have had 3 or so minutes left to go the length of the field and potentially win the game. Instead, Bucs got a first down, got another one, and ran out the clock. Falcons dropped to 2-3. Mark, I don't know how much of the game you watched. If you're Atlanta, how close are you to giving Desmond Ridder the job?
Really close. This is an inept offense with Marcus Mariota. It's as good as it's going to get. So to me, I think you make the switch. If you'd have somehow figured out a way to win, you could keep him in there. But it's ugly.
Speaking of ugly, the Dolphins in New Jersey. Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt on its first offensive play of the game. He's not allowed to return because of the new rules they put into effect when Tua got hurt against Buffalo, and they allowed him to stay in the game and then play the very next week. By the way, quick sidebar. The NFL concluded Saturday morning that everybody did the right thing in the Tua Bills injury situation. It's just that now we've changed the protocols. So now if the doctor who got fired.
I was just going to ask you. So everybody did it right, including the doctor that was fired.
Right. But he was let go because of a technicality. And the irony being that the technicality was okay when he did it. Now it would not be. They changed the rule, and they changed the rule hours before this Sunday's games.
And he was a blankety blank to him because of the technicality, for the record.
And because of the new rules, the irony being the first quarterback and team affected by them was Teddy Bridgewater, Tua's replacement, and the Miami Dolphins. You throw in the fact that both offensive tackles were hurt in the first half. It was 19-17 going to the fourth, but after that, the dam burst. Skylar Thompson, the 7th-round pick, pressed into action. He was okay, but 2 turnovers, including a sack, fumble, damn near returned for a touchdown early fourth quarter, helped break the game open. Jets with a 21-point fourth quarter. They snapped their 12-game losing streak against the AFC East. 40-17, Jets, who are technically in second place, Mark, because they're tied with the Dolphins, but they beat them. So you got that going for you.
Which for them is very nice.
Yes, it is. The Jacksonville Jaguars had lost 8 in a row to the Houston Texans, but that obviously was going to end yesterday because the Texans were the only winless team in the league, and the Jags were starting to play pretty good football. It didn't end yesterday. They've now lost 9 straight to the Houston Texans, who are no longer winless. Houston with a late fourth quarter touchdown to win by the mighty score of 13-6. The Jags shut out in the second half. A bad sign was first drive of the second half, all down the field, and Trevor throws a pick in the end zone. So they don't get at least the field goal and take the lead, blah, blah, blah. Second game in a row, Trevor didn't look that great. After a couple games in a row where Trevor was looking really good. So it's year 2, and it's year 1 under Doug Peterson, who, yes, Doug, run the ball a little more. With that defense, run the ball a little bit more. The Cowboys are doing it. They're 4-0. Cooper Rush is their quarterback. Just a thought. Mark, Josh Allen threw for over 300 yards in the first half. He didn't play the fourth quarter. He basically didn't throw a pass after about the middle of the third quarter. He threw for 424 and 4 touchdowns. The Bills beat the Steelers 38-3. There were 2 fights. Kenny Pickett, believe it or not, I thought he played okay. He was under duress the whole game, and their offensive line's not good.
It's really bad. I agree with you on Pickett's play. This just in, the Bills are pretty good.
Yes, they are.
And Gabe Davis is healthy again, which makes them a little more difficult to cover. And they have found a third receiver now as well. So the Bills are getting more dangerous. And we'll find out as days go on because it was Pittsburgh and they're awful.
Yes, they are. And I mean, we need to say this out loud. The Steelers have a chance to be dangerously close to on the clock. Take a look at their schedule. Tell me how many games you think they'll be favored in the rest of the way. 4-1 Bills, 1-4 Steelers. Mark, you asked me very simply on Friday, will the Tennessee Titans go on the road and win a close, tough game? And I said to you incredulously, I can't believe you would ask me that question. Carson Wentz was picked off at the 1-yard line with 6 seconds to go. The Titans held off the Commanders 21-17 to win their 3rd straight game. And just like that, the Tennessee Titans are in first place in the AFC South. Washington, meanwhile, is 1-4 in a division in which the 3 teams above them have a combined 2 losses.
Right. The AFC West. I mean, the NFC East.
Right. Their season seems to be over. The Eagles are 5-0. They did blow a 14-0 lead. Arizona came back, tied it at 17. Arizona had a chance to tie it late. Their kicker missed a 43-yarder pretty much at the gun. Phillies 5-0. They will host Dallas on Sunday night. The Cowboys have won 4 in a row. They're 4-1. Cooper Rush barely threw for 100 yards. His stats are getting worse each week. All right. Their passing game is getting worse each week. They're winning each week. 5 sacks, 2 turnovers, one of them for a score on the 3rd play of the game. And then they ran the ball for 163 yards. Jimmy Johnson on the Fox postgame said, I've seen this formula before as coach of the Cowboys. It's bringing back memories. 22-10 Cowboys over the Rams, who in McVay's first 5 years, they had only not scored more than 10 points twice in 5 years. This year, in 5 games, they've not scored more than 10 points 3 times. It's broken in Los Angeles.
Offensive line's bad. There's no receivers that can get open, and they can't run the ball. But other than that, things are looking really good for the Rams, David.
And Matthew Stafford got pounded yesterday.
Did he ever?
Pounded. McVay after the game says, we have got to give him more help. Taysom Hill outgunned the Seahawks by himself. He scored 4 touchdowns, 3 of them rushing, 1 of them throwing. Andy Dalton got the start. I'm telling you, I think the Jameis tenure is over. 39-32 Saints over the Seahawks. Both teams are 2-3. Mark, the Detroit Lions were the number 1 offense in the league.
Yes, they were.
They went to New England to face the Patriots. They scored as many points as you and I did yesterday. Bailey Zappi with a workmanlike 17 for 21 effort. New England ran the ball for 176 yards. I love their uniform and helmet combinations yesterday. If I had known they were going to wear their red uniforms and their old style helmets, I would have bet the ranch on the Patriots. That's my fault. Then, of course, I would have jinxed them and they wouldn't have won 29-0. Mark, I contend the New York Giants are not a good football team, but the standings say otherwise. They're 4-1. They were an 8-point dog. They were losing by 10 in the second half to the Green Bay Packers. They scored 17 unanswered. and they stopped Aaron Rodgers inside the 10 late. Giants 27, Green Bay 22. Giants are 4-1. Packers are 3-2.
Great, not really goal line stand, but great red zone stand by the Giants, knocking down 2 passes at the end of the game to force Green Bay out on downs. A terrific win, and I'm with you. I watched the whole game. I still don't think the Giants are a good football team, but they had a really good fourth quarter. Really good fourth quarter, David.
They were without their top 3 receivers at one point in the second half, and they were without Saquon Barkley. And Daniel Jones led them on an 8-minute, 90-plus yard tying drive. And he did it largely himself. I mean, honestly, Daniel Jones yesterday, guy you give a contract extension to.
Look at you.
It was a day. In fact, it was really an hour. But it was a really good hour. The Vikings are 4-1. The Bears gave them a game.
Sure did.
Came from behind in the second half, took the lead. Cousins with a sneak late, add the 2-point conversion. 29-22 Minnesota. Bears fall to 2-3. There are reports that Matt Rule's getting fired today in Carolina. They just finished a 3-game homestand, 1-2. They got blown out by Jimmy G and the Niners yesterday, although San Francisco lost 4 players due to injury. Niners in first in the West, 37-15 over Carolina. Carolina in last in the South. I will say, Mark, the players are loudly in defense of Matt Rule, and they know he's about to get fired. Christian McCaffrey said, no coach has had my back more than Matt Rule.
That's great, but they're not getting any better. And he's in charge of the whole shooting match there.
Yep. As we talked about last segment, Chargers, both teams ran for over 200 yards. Chargers overcame a 14-0 deficit, beat the Browns 30-28, despite their head coach trying to give it away. And Justin Tucker with a field goal at the gun. Imagine that. Ravens held off the Bengals 19-17. Monday Night Football tonight, Raiders and Chiefs. One baseball game yesterday. Padres hit the Mets 6-0. Padres win the series 2-1. So the next 4 series are set, Mark. Best of 5 divisional series. In the American League, Cleveland and the Yankees, Seattle and Houston. The American League on TBS, for the record, TBS. The National League on Fox and or FS1. Phillies and Braves, Padres and Dodgers. So an NL East and an NL West series. And the division round gets underway on Tuesday. Christopher Bell wins the road race in Charlotte and NASCAR. Tom Kim wins the Shriners in Vegas. John Rahm wins the Spanish Open. Eugenio Lopez Chicara wins on the LIV series in Bangkok. Patrick Reed second, Paul Casey third. And Mark, the college football polls are out. The AP has Georgia number 1, Bama number 3. The coaches have Bama 1, Georgia 2. James Madison ranked 25th in the AP poll. This is their first year playing FBS football. 5 games into their FBS career, they're ranked. And that was the starting 5.
Miller and Moulton on this Monday. We'll get into more football talk. Well, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we'll get into more football talk and follow that up with more football talk. We will talk a little baseball in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Thank you so much for listening. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, Klecko, my vote would be a one-hitter. Klecko, I got to admit, I am so fired up for Saturday. Look at RCB going a little Kevin Durant here. We were debating Blake Griffin or Kevin Love, and RCB comes in with Kevin Durant. Well, they're about ready to take Josh Heupel and put him in rarefied air, man. Did you see how many Tennessee fans made it to Baton Rouge, by the way? Holy mackerel. They have waited 15 years to have a good team. 49-0. 49-0. Oklahoma lost to Texas 49-0.
By the way, speaking of rent, don't buy.
Holy mackerel.
Venables, Scott. I mean, come on.
They've lost 3 conference games in a row, which they've only done like a handful of
And got
times.
their asses kicked twice. Because TCU whooped them pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Lincoln Riley's undefeated. Felipe, thanks for the pictures from the Canes game.
Yeah.
You know, you're the KOD, by the way. Do you ever go to a game when they win?
Well, the first 2.
You went to Middle Tennessee State and you went to that debacle.
The first 2 home games, they won.
Did you
The next
go?
2 home games, they lost.
Did you go to the first 2 home games?
Yes. I've been to every
Okay.
home.
Okay. Good for you, Felipe. You're a fan.
I am a fan. And I was very happy that Mario Cristobal was
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 on this Monday morning. We hope you had a good weekend. We know for some of you, good may be a stretch. Hopefully better than last. How about that? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Largely Tuesday through Fridays, we have an expanded guest list. Mondays, we go very few guests normally. Just let whatever took place beginning Friday night all the way through Sunday night. Just have it all there on the buffet table, Mark, for us to go up and sample as many times as we'd like, as many times as we need. How about that?
Well, if it's a buffet, it's got to be all you can eat. And those are words that we live by on this show, particularly on a Monday as a great football. Well, I don't know about a great football weekend, a good football weekend, not a good football weekend for a lot of the Florida teams. Gators and Bucks get wins. Canes, Dolphins, Jags, Knowles all lose.
Well, and also let's dive into how they lost. The Knowles are up 17-3 at the half, and they don't score in the second half. And they're in position to score in the last 40 seconds of the game. They have the ball on the 24-yard line. So you figure worst case scenario, they're going to line up for a field goal with a chance to win the game down 2. And they throw a deep pass and get picked off. Now, Mike Norvell's taking heat for this one. I'll say this, and granted, I'm a Norvell guy. I think he's done a much better job than what people are willing to give him credit for. Mark, their kicker is not a sure thing. So I understand the thought process of, man, I'd really like to get this closer. Here's my thing, and I don't know if it's on Norvell, but he's got to take the rap. You want to throw one-on-one jump ball, could you throw it to your 6'6" receiver and not your 5'10" receiver? Because he was so short, he couldn't even defend it and make sure it was incomplete. That's my whole thing. You want to throw it in the end zone, try to win a jump ball, get a pass interference call. You got a 6'6" guy on the field. Can you do it with him? And if that pass gets picked off, you just kind of look up to the football gods and go, so I guess we weren't supposed to win this game. But when you do it to the 5'10" guy, it's like the gods are looking at you going, huh?
Yeah, who's double covered.
Right. So, listen, quarterback shouldn't have thrown it. There's no doubt. But I can understand wanting to get closer. Their kicker is not a lock. And 45 seconds is still time. You can use the middle of the field.
Well, there you go. See, that's the other side. They're just going to use the middle of the field. You still had time to get a first down, which is going to get a clock stop. There are a lot of things that you could have done instead of a corner route into double coverage. But the second half watched an offense that was not very good.
No. And that's a tough one, And I know the defense technically gave up the lead late, but man, coming into that game, if you had said to us that Florida State was going to hold NC State to under 20, I think we all thought they'd find a way to score 20-24 and get out of there with a W.
And all of us get burned on this one. Every single one of us, because Moulton and I had NC State laying 3. So you Bulls fans thought you had the Miller and Moulton
totally
5. You thought you had it going your way.
You're up 17-3 at the half, and you literally are going, well, the two Yahoos we listened to in the morning both picked NC State to win and cover. So, of course, we're going to kick their butt because they're morons. Their picks are terrible. And I mean Charles Barkley, terrible.
I don't even want to get into it. Other than I'm going to let my daughter pick the games this week.
Can I let your dog make my picks? Is there a way to how about this? I'll give you the games.
Okay.
You put them down on the floor, and whichever team the dog goes to, that will be my pick.
We can do that.
Okay, good.
We can do that, and I'll sit down with my daughter. I may film all of this because when it works, it'll be our go-to for the rest of the year.
Yes. Mark, if there was a way to call off your bets, I would have done it by midnight Friday night. And here's what I'm talking about. So I had 2 Friday games, and I'm going 2-0. I mean, there is no way the football/betting gods can get in the way of me going 2-0. First off, I have Rutgers and I'm getting 3. They're up 13-0 at the half. This is Nebraska. I don't even think Nebraska is going to score 17 points the rest of the game. And sure enough, Nebraska comes back and wins the game, but they're not capable of scoring 17 points. They only score 14. So, hey, from a betting standpoint, bum Rutgers didn't win. But, hey, they lost by 1. I'm getting 3.
You're not that bummed. You got the win.
Totally.
What's covering right now?
Mark, I'm worried when they get the ball in their own 20 with a minute to go, they're going to throw the pick 6. Okay, I'm like, no, just can this be a 4 and out, please? I mean, don't get to just please.
It's where you're really thinking in your head that you really hope the Nebraska defensive coaches have told their team, if you intercept it, fall down.
Right. Exactly. And don't get to midfield in which now all of a sudden you're trying to throw a Hail Mary and a guy gets hit, fumble, return. No, please. Can this just be a 4 and out so I can get a W? And it was. Okay. He threw a pick early. It was great. Fantastic. Awesome. So now I got Memphis and I'm laying 2.5. Mark, they have dominated this game for 3 hours. They kick a field goal mid-4th quarter to go up 29-13. I'm laying 2.5. Okay, Houston returns the kickoff for a touchdown. That's a bad break, but Memphis stops them on the 2-point conversion. All right, good. It's 29-19. I'm thinking, well, this is fantastic. Houston could score again, and Memphis will win by 3. So Memphis, though, Mark, goes on a nice 4-minute drive, burns a couple Houston timeouts. They kick a field goal to go up 13. Mark, I'm up 13 with 3.5 minutes to go. I'm laying 2.5. Houston faces not 1, but 2 4th downs on the drive, down 13. Okay, they convert them both, and they throw a touchdown pass with 1:10 to go in the game. Okay. Kick the extra point, they're down 6. Well, cover the onside kick. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, right? Yeah, Houston recovers the onside kick. About 4 plays later, bada bing, bada boom, touchdown. make the extra point. Houston wins 33-32. I'm up 16 mid-fourth quarter. I'm up 13 with a minute and a half to play. Right. It was at that moment when I couldn't go 2-0 with one of the bad beats of the year that if I could have called someone and said, can you cancel the rest of my bets? Wait, sir, you're canceling the rest of your vacation? Yes, we are going home right now. Well, why don't you sleep on it and go home in the morning? No, I want you to call an Uber. I want you to meet me down in the lobby at midnight. We are going home right now. This place is haunted because I'm in it.
26 points in the fourth quarter.
Oh, and the last Houston score took the game from an under to an over for those that were on that. Ask David Sampson. He was following it from Europe, where he went for the Giants-Packers game. We'll get to talk to him tomorrow about that. Yes. So this is one of the bad beats of the year, the Memphis-Houston game. It's a double bad beat. You lose Memphis and the spread, and then you go from an under to an over when the game's 30 points away from being an over with 8 minutes to go. Unbelievable. I'm going home. Honestly, at that moment, there's like, come on, is there someone I can call? Can I take to Twitter? Someone I would just want to cancel the rest of the weekend schedule. And sure enough, for the rest of the weekend, how many games did I win, Mark?
That would be 0, David.
Thank you. As many runs as the Mets scored, as many points as the Oklahoma Sooners scored, as many points as the Detroit Lions scored, and damn near as many runs as the Tampa Bay Rays scored in 24 innings of playoff baseball.
Yeah, and I'm just feeling bad because Liberty started rolling for me, and they gave up a defensive score to start the fourth that knocked me out. That was it for me, but nothing in the nature of where you were coming from. Because we all knew UMass was going to get to 20 against Liberty. Right.
Felt badly for you. You won your first 2 bets. I'm like, Mark's going to have a winning week.
Nope.
Plus, he's got NC State -3. I mean, this is a lock, right?
Right. NC State by 2.
UCLA scores 2 defensive touchdowns. Oh, well, so much for the Utah bet.
Uh-huh.
Right. And then UMass scores a defensive touchdown to cover against Liberty.
Right.
So once again, Mark Miller, best we got on this show, and he too is a loser.
Yep. But I didn't lose as much money as David did. That's all
No.
there is to it.
No.
That's all there is to it.
No one can lose like me. I did go 3-1 picking baseball series, though. I may just have to bet baseball the rest of the year.
And we did hit our hockey under in our Nashville Predators San Jose Sharks first game of the season bet. We did have an under bet on the NHL. So
yeah,
although my baseball was awful because I was 1-3 in that.
And I went 3-1. But yes, so we gave you an NHL winning bet. We gave you more winning bets in baseball than losing, but football, man, if we can lose, well, we're going to do it.
We will find a way. That is for certain.
You know what we're not, Mark? Clutch. With a K or a C.
No, we're the furthest thing from clutch. Clutch Vodka Play of the Day coming up. Next segment, we'll get a poll question up as well. And talk a little more football. Where do the Dolphins go now?
Hopefully to Tua.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Hey, soft spot of the schedule coming up. Okay? Don't everybody panic. Playoffs started today. The Dolphins would be in them. Okay? Everybody take a deep breath. Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Really ready for this boil water notice to be over with.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I just said I'm ready for this boil water notice to be over with. That would be nice. Which one did you get?
I could only find the 98-yard one.
Okay. So that Pittsburgh game starts out. The guy drops the kick. They get it at like the 3-yard line. First play goes -1, rush for -1. And then I think they threw an incomplete pass and then the 98-yard pass. I'm like, well, Pittsburgh's starting out. Look at this. They might even start out and get the ball to fit. Oh. Or Gage could score on a 98-yard catch. The other one was better. The one he ripped out of, that was great, but the one he ripped out of Fitzpatrick's hands was a hell of a catch. Holy cow. Yes, Thursday Night Football, Bears, Commanders, things that I won't watch this week.
No, I am in my room. It's just that there's only one small light in the desk area and also not a very deep desk. So it would have been a very awkward setup at the desk. Meanwhile, I got a couch here. I got a table in front of me. The problem is I had to take the light and flip it over so that it's now radiating off the ceiling. Because if I turn it the other way, it looks like I'm nuclear.
I just like the airplane flying through the back of your head.
See, I think it looks like, one of those whales.
Well, if you do it right, it looks like a helmet. Looks like you've got a cone head thing going on.
Like right there.
If you would have your A-Sun shirt on, you could be in Star Trek for sure.
I got one of those. Maybe I'll wear it tomorrow. So,
what college coach is getting fired today? Any?
Well, I have to admit, I'm surprised Harsin still got a job. I will say the teams that have fired their coaches, Arizona State, Wisconsin, Georgia Tech, their teams have all responded to the new coaches.
Mm-hmm. 10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from Kansas City, where it's 49 degrees right now, Mark, for the record.
Never heard of
it. It's supposed to reach 80 today, but then it cools quickly, when the sun goes down in these parts. Remember? No? You've blocked it out?
And we're back to summer weather around here. Doesn't really matter what the month is. High humidity, rains in the afternoon. First rain since Ian was yesterday. So we're back to normal weather patterns around here.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Exactly.
Chiefs hosting the Raiders, Monday Night Football. Kansas City is 7-point favorite. Mark, I know this is not going to be our clutch play of the day, but you know how sometimes you have your finalists for something and then you have your honorable mentions? I would like to nominate someone for the clutch play of the day.
Okay.
Young Felipe. Young Felipe has gone to every Miami Hurricanes home game. Now, he's a bit of a kiss of death right now, but that's not the point. The point is, Mark, that he is showing real fandom. He's going to all their home games. And he doesn't live in the area code. It's a drive.
Right.
He has to drive that chick mobile, to the game and then come home either afterwards or stay with friends and family and come home the next day. But he has attended. Mark, you can count on about 4 hands the number of people who have attended every Miami Hurricanes home game this year.
That's a great point right there, David. That is a great point.
And he sent pictures to me. He even remembered on Friday I had said, could you send me late first quarter, early second quarter? And I said, you know what, come to think of it, late first quarter, before people decide at the quarter break they're going to get a hot dog or run to the bathroom. Late first quarter, could you send me what the stands look like? And there were more people there than I thought there were going to be.
And that means there were more people disappointed.
Yes.
Than we previously would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well.
Yeah. Carolina hadn't won a road conference game in 2 years. So why don't you go to Miami and play the Canes? Snap that little skid. Yeah. Another late interception by a talented Florida quarterback, too. so that their team could lose. Yeah.
It's not all on him. The receivers are not very good. They've been banged up, but they have got to figure out. He's got to figure out a way to be better, because right now he isn't helping them win. And I know that the receivers aren't as good. I know they lost a good running back in training camp, but inevitably that offense has to be able to produce more than it is right now.
Agreed. So, and Mac Brown's got his Tar Heels ranked in at least one of the 2 polls. So, and right now I believe they would win their side and play Clemson in the ACC title game.
Who, as much as we said about the ACC being salty, Clemson's doing a great job of pulling away from the rest of the conference and looking like now we can start talking about the Big Four again, and maybe the Big Five after Michigan and Penn State on Saturday. But Clemson, certainly with what they've done this year, you have to move the top 4 or top 3 rather to a top 4. I think at this point with what Clemson's doing, David.
Well, Mark, how many teams not named Clemson are you convinced are going to, after the conference tournament, have a donut in the right-hand column? I mean, I think a lot of people would bet Ohio State, even though they have to go to Penn State and then host Michigan. And are we sure with the way Alabama and Georgia have played that either is going to get through the 13 games that they have to play undefeated? I mean, Georgia nearly lost at Missouri. Alabama, the last 2 weeks, has been in a game in the fourth quarter, and we don't know how long the starter's going to be out. I mean, Alabama's going to play the whole, like Bill Belichick, Mac Jones is day-to-day. No, Mac Jones has a high ankle sprain. He's probably going to miss a month. Okay? This is just Belichick playing with everybody. I mean, Bryce Young fell on his shoulder. We all saw it. He tried to throw a pass. He dropped the ball in pain and ran off the field into the tent. He's not day-to-day. He's hurt. Saturday before the game, there were 4 Alabama quarterbacks throwing passes to wide receivers. One of them didn't throw a ball. His name was Bryce Young. He dropped back, posed, and flipped the ball underhanded to the guy next to him. You think he's playing Saturday?
What the hell is
100%?
Is that gamesmanship on Saban? What is the reason for that?
Not only that, Mark, he was announced as the starting quarterback. Bleacher Report fell for it. They were at the game. Bryce Young gets announced on the big screen as the starter. They tweet out, Bryce Young is starting. And I'm standing there going, I know they announced him as quarterback, but did you watch warm-ups? He literally did not throw a pass.
I'm guessing it was probably the most watched warm-up you guys have had in a long time.
Well, there were 2 things to watch. One was Bryce Young going to throw the ball. And then, I got to tell you, Mark, I was riveted for 8 minutes. Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher were standing 4 yards from one another, and they weren't looking at each other. People were trying to come up and talk to me, and I literally was saying, I'm busy. I was zeroed in on them. Who was going to stare at the other first? Was one of them going to break and go shake the other's hand? Jimbo with his back to Saban. Saban was pacing back and forth like a lion in the cage, kept looking over at Jimbo. Jimbo, nothing. Finally, Jimbo turns, looks, they make eye contact. They shake hands. Jimbo has his kid with him. Nick makes nice with the kid, shakes his hand. Okay, and they walk away. It had as much intensity and suspense as Biden and DeSantis.
I was just going to say, it reminded me of when President Biden was in town last week, and who was going to lead. DeSantis jumped out and shook the hand, and they were adults, and I was happy. So Nick and Jimbo were adults. That should make everybody happy. Time now to switch gears, though, David. You know what that was? That was clutch. Much like the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen have been clutch.
Josh handles it, back to throw, pocket collapsing, fires a deep one downfield, looking for Gabe Davis, makes the catch at midfield. He's going to sail into the end zone. Gabe Davis at the 20, at the 10, Touchdown. Holy mackerel, 98 yards. Touchdown, Gabe Davis on 3rd and 10 at their own 2. That's the way to start. Holy mackerel.
That's a triple mackerel right there.
Holy mackerel.
What is mackerel?
A fish.
Really?
That's why we're here, Mark. That's why we're here. We're Uncle Mark and we're Uncle David. We're just trying to educate them.
I never asked myself that question until today.
One nugget at a time.
If you would have asked yourself, you wouldn't have gone through the pain of having to ask it on air.
Well, you know, I really don't care. I think it's entertaining.
And sometimes it is.
Sometimes it rains.
It is.
I genuinely did not know that that was a fish.
We're aware of that.
Well, it's a freshwater fish, isn't it? See, I didn't grow up on lakes, Mark.
Oh.
Clutch vodka, smooth, refreshing, coming to a Total Wines near you. That's Clutch with a K.
Certainly is.
So
it's an ocean fish. A king
Oh,
mackerel,
it is?
a Spanish mackerel.
Ooh.
They kind of frequent the waters right where we are here in Florida. It's a really popular fish to catch.
The Florida Sports Network?
Soon to be minus a person on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It kind of looks like a wahoo barracuda. It's got to be in that same family.
Felipe, what I love is I literally at the beginning of the segment had just nominated you as an honorable mention Play of the Day guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then
at the end, you're like, holy mackerel. What's a mackerel?
What's a mackerel?
Look at Jiff. As someone who grew up with the Cuban community, I would go to dinner and their mom would always have ceviche, and it always had mackerel in it.
Oh, ceviche has mackerel?
Ceviche has the fish you want in it.
Oh, right.
Ceviche is just fish cooked without heat. It's just fish cooked in vinegar and acid and citrus.
You like ceviche?
Love it.
It's great. Little bowl of ceviche.
Don't change the subject, Felipe.
I don't know. I just never asked that question.
You know what I need you to do? Some more R&D. I need you to somehow, some way, when you talk to your mom or dad, all right, bring up the play of the day and the Bills announcer, holy mackerel, and just say, tell them, I didn't know what a mackerel was. Did we have mackerel growing up? And I'm curious what your parents' reaction will be to that.
Hell, I'll ask him that question.
Yes, Dan Campbell makes the season because they got a 6-year deal, and it's year 2.
From trumpets to sound of silence. That's pretty good.
Is that the Post?
The news that from trumpets to sound of silence, it's caps. Let's see what he has for the. Let's see if that's the from. Yeah. This Ian Cole story's disturbing.
Boy, is it ever.
It's disturbing because I believe every effing word of it.
Yeah, it's difficult to imagine that this story somehow, some way goes public and is false.
Well, she tweeted this out. That's how, she tweeted the story out. That's how it became known, to my knowledge.
Ten seconds. Geno Smith is the truth. He is him. Geno Godo.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Some people are panicking, Mark. They're at the point of either their college or pro season where they're panicking because their team's lost a few in a row. Dolphins have lost 2 in a row after being the second to last unbeaten team. Now they're a third-place team in the AFC East. Felipe, you could turn the music off once we start talking. Thank you. Oklahoma, having lost 3 in a row. Losing to Texas, 49-0. Holy mackerel.
A fish. 49-0, David.
That's rough. That's rough. Coaches get fired for losing rivalry games like that. And
They've
he's what?
never been beaten that bad ever.
Yeah. And they've been playing football at Oklahoma for a long time.
Most lopsided shutout loss ever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Highest scoring game for Texas in that series ever. They've only played the game 118 times.
Right. Uh-huh. Correct.
And I don't know, as you were getting ready and driving into Tuscaloosa, how much of that game you were able to see, but I don't know if you've had one of those where it's been that the 50%'s all there and the other 50, you do the Florida Georgia game every year. And there's been a few that have been ugly that I'm guessing most of the crowd's gone. I've never seen it where it looked like 100% of one fan base is still there and every single Oklahoma fan had gone.
Well, it was that way in the fourth quarter last year, or so it felt with Georgia. They had the 3 touchdowns at the end of the first half, and they were whooping up on Florida so badly. Also, the Jim McElwain game was bad. That was like 49-10 or something like that. And Urban had a game in the late 2000s against Mark Richt in which they beat him like 49-10. So I've seen 2 or 3 where by the fourth quarter, half the stadium is, a Marlins game on a Tuesday night.
But it was so big for Texas that even none of their fans left. Usually when the blowout, even some of the team that's winning, their fans like, let's go get a beer. I've had enough of this. We can listen to the rest of the game on the radio if we want to.
Yeah, Mark, last year Texas lost at home to Kansas. All right, their fans are soaking this up in a big way.
Yes, they are.
See, they're after Saturday, Texas is like, we're ready for the SEC. Let's go.
I do like watching Ewers throw the football.
Yeah, he can.
He looks as if he's pretty good.
He is. I mean, listen, the plan is he plays next year and Arch is his backup.
Right.
Ewers helped recruit Arch, and that was the plan. Arch is not going to be rushed onto the field. I mean, he's got 3 years, and the goal is Sundays. So it's just all about making him the best quarterback that he can be for when he's leaving Texas and going to Sundays. So he doesn't have to be thrown in right away. He can not play for a year. Tua didn't play for a year. Joe Burrow didn't play for 2. It's just all about what kind of a finished product they are when it's time to go play on Sundays. But I do want to just try to couple of fan bases, like Packer fan base is freaking out, blowing a double-digit lead and losing to a Giants team that everybody said is not very good. And I still, right now, and I'm serious, and you know what, Mark? This nomination for a poll question, the Giants are 4-1. Do you think they'll finish with a winning record? No. No. In fact, I'll double down on no. And I'm a Giants fan. I mean, I was openly rooting and cheering in an establishment yesterday afternoon in Kansas City, and it was barely afternoon. But no, I still don't think they're good. And I think at some point the sis boom ba rah rah wears off and they start losing. But Mark, do you know right now if you have a winning record, you're in the playoffs in the NFL?
In the NFL.
In the NFL, it's literally that simple. In the NFC, you got 3 teams in the East, in the North. You got the Tampa Bay Bucks and the San Francisco 49ers in the South and the West. That's it. There's your 7 teams. So Packers fan, you're all bent out of shape. Yeah, you're in the playoffs if the season starts today. And so what if you're the 7th seed? You won the Super Bowl as the 6th seed. I mean, really, this home field advantage thing, it hasn't worked out. Every time you've had it, you've lost. So And in the AFC, Dolphin, take a deep breath. If the playoffs started today, you know who'd be in them? Miami Dolphins.
And that was the goal at the beginning of the season. You beat Buffalo, and all of a sudden everything changes. And I get it. We understand it. But every single Del fan that we come in contact with was looking for one thing this year. Make the playoffs.
Right.
Period. That's it.
Now think about who you've played. All right, you're 2-1 in your division. Yeah, okay, you did it in reverse. You beat Buffalo, you lost to the Jets. If you had done it the other way around and you were 2-2 entering yesterday and you won, how would you feel? There are 3 teams in the AFC East with winning records. There's the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. There's the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West. And there's the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South. So, I mean, I think I'm missing somebody, but those are, the Chargers. Yeah, because the Chargers pulled one out yesterday. So you got the 3 teams in the East. You got the Ravens, the Titans, and then the Chiefs and the Chargers. There are your 7 teams with winning records. And even after tonight's game.
Won't change, no matter what happens.
So right now, it's real simple in the NFL. If your head's above water, you're in the playoffs. But it also goes to show, if by chance your team is 2-3, how close you are. And also, for as bad as they've looked, the Colts are a half a game out of first place. And they do have one more game left with the Titans, albeit in Nashville.
I really look at, we've said it, and we're not in Browns country, but we know there's a lot of Browns fans around here. The Browns could be 5-0 right now. They've blown 3 football games flat out. I mean, could really and truly be 5-0. And it's another Monday that we're sitting here talking about losses that are going to hurt a team. And it seems now for the 3rd time we're talking about the Cleveland Browns losing a game that's going to bite them come the end of the season. But if I were to say the biggest bite, obviously, was taken out of the Jags.
Wow.
As far as games that a schedule maker give you, you were a touchdown favorite. And decided that you needed to throw the ball 40-plus times. And mustered up only 6. 9 straight times the Texans have beaten the Jags. Unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. That is futility that is tough to fully grasp. How in the world did the Jacksonville Jaguars lose at home to the Houston Texans yesterday? Never mind if we told you before the game that Houston was only going to score 13.
And they've got to figure out how to score touchdowns in a big way, because they had like 400 yards of total offense they had almost double the yards that Houston did in that game, David.
Yeah, no, I know.
Lawrence throws an interception in the end zone. That's now, 6 turnovers in the last 2 games for Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, not good. Not good. So, just to put everything in perspective, and I will say, I don't believe the Giants are a good team, but at 4-1, when if you're above 500, you're a playoff team, man. I mean, they got 12 games left, right? Well, heck, they'd certainly take 6-6 the rest of the way, but it's possible they'd go 5-7 the rest of the way and sneak in. But just want to give everybody some perspective about where we are. We're past the, quarter pole officially. And, draw your conclusions accordingly. But it's probably not as bad as you think, except in Carolina, where there are reports that Matt Rule is going to be fired before the show's over.
Well, it's as bad. I mean, there are some places where doom and gloom is there. Carolina is one. Pittsburgh's another. Because your new quarterback may get killed by the end of the season.
Yep. And there's no room for Najee Harris to run either.
None. They can't run block and they can't pass protect. Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? I will say the kid from Georgia looks like he could be a special receiver.
Pickens?
Yeah. I mean, he makes highlight reel catches every week.
He has a very interesting way of getting open as well.
Well, yeah, he just manhandles you at the line of scrimmage.
Right off the break, he does a little shuffle, and then just shoves you to the ground.
And, now that film is out, though, my guess is that a couple of those will start getting called on him. But listen, when he didn't he fall to the second round?
Yes.
Yeah. And when he fell, people were like, that's a first-round talent. And there is no team better at developing wide receivers than the Pittsburgh Steelers. None.
Now they just have to worry about developing linemen.
Right.
But the Commanders and Lions, their seasons ended yesterday.
Man. Washington 1-4 in that division. They got to start thinking about, even though it's not all on Wentz, it came down to end of the game yesterday, driving, had him in and around the 10-yard line. Who throws the interception at the goal line? Carson Wentz.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory once again.
It's funny how many games you can win when you don't lose them and you make the other team beat you. Pat has talked about hearing that from Bill Parcells over and over again.
And I know we're running up against it, but even in baseball, what happened over the weekend? The wild cards happened, and this amazing thing started happening, David. Teams started putting the ball in play.
Unbelievable.
And then defensively, teams would make errors and forcing them into situations that they hadn't been in. And all of a sudden, base runners running. And there was a level of excitement.
It's like Seattle was able to come back from an 8-1 deficit by putting the ball in play. And the Phillies, down 2-0 in the ninth inning of game one of their series, just put a few balls in play. And suddenly 6 runs unfolded. It's an amazing thing. Not striking out. What can happen? Phil Rizzuto, Mark, he said, I'm done with my playing career. And if you don't know, Phil Rizzuto was a shortstop on great Yankee teams in the 50s and early 60s. So Rizzuto goes to the broadcast booth and he said, I'd never sat up here and watched a game. I've always played it. And when I played it, I thought we covered a lot of ground. I look up here and all I see is green. And he's like, man, how in the world do we get 27 outs? And it made him think, well, just put the damn ball in play. We can't cover all this ground.
So there was some of that over the weekend as well. These amazing discoveries. Blocking and tackling, putting the ball in play. I mean, we're really uncovering some new material today on the show, David.
Well, that's why we are Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Telling you things you've never heard before. But sometimes just reminding you that what's old can be new again. And it can win.
That's the key. It can win. And if you've lost a couple, it's not over yet in the National Football League. Doll fan. It is not over yet. It's just a small bump in the road, hopefully, as you're going to need Tua back. But the Dolphins open as a 3-point dog against the Vikings coming up next Sunday. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Michigan's a 7-point favorite. Tell you what, this is going to go up. Old Miss, it's anywhere between 13.5 and 16, depending on where. That line will go. If it opens at 13, that will be 17 in an hour.
Who's Ole Miss playing?
Auburn.
Where is the game?
Ole Miss, it looks like.
That's unbelievable, DC. You have the Giants in your 4-team teaser, and you win with that and lose with the Jags.
Right, and you're getting the
DC, you can be flawed and still win games. I mean, we all know the Packers are flawed. Aaron Rodgers has told the world the Packers are flawed. They were 8-point favorites. Them and the Vikings were the two biggest favorites on the board. The Jags were the third. And 2 of the 3 lost straight up. Yeah, DC hedge a field at the half, down 10.
$30 seconds.
Yes, DC, we brought up the horrible call. Awful.
$15 seconds. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the third hour of Miller and Moulton, the final hour here on the Florida Sports Network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and from Port Charlotte to Venice on 1070 The Zone. We are halfway home in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Coming up in 20 minutes' time, Steve Carney, he covers the Rays, and their season's over. And they played 2 games in Cleveland, and they played extra innings in the second one, 15 innings, and they didn't score a run. And that's after scoring 1 run in the first game. Yeah. They gave up 3 runs in 24 innings and didn't win a game.
Nope. Swept. Done.
So we'll talk to Steve about what in the world he thinks they're going to do from here. You count the playoffs, Mark. The Rays lost 14 of their last 18 games and didn't score more than 3 runs in any of the 14 losses.
Well, at least you know what the problem is. I mean, it makes fixing it really easy, David.
Both baseball teams in the state actually need offense. Usually you have to spend a little money, by the way, to get that.
Well, that rules out the Rays.
And probably the Marlins as well.
There you go.
So, well, don't worry. There'll be a few New York Mets available if anybody wants them. But the 3 road teams, 3 of the 4 road teams emerged out of the division series, or whatever they call it. They're now in the division series, wild card series, whatever it was. But it's new. We all wondered how the best of 3 series would go, and 3 of them were sweeps. And in the one that went the distance, the road team won that one as well. So home field advantage? Yeah, I don't think so. Didn't the home teams go, what was it? Cleveland went 2-0, so 2-4. So I think home teams went like 3-6, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the Mets got 1.
Yeah. And the Guardians got both.
Right.
And the Cardinals and the Jays, they got nothing, and they'll like it.
Boy, and the Jays.
8-1, baby. 8-1 in the 6th. That game's over.
Oh.
And then not so fast, my friend.
That
Speaking of-
will haunt you in the offseason, David.
Yeah, it really will. It really will. And I know they're young, and in theory, they'll be around for a while and what have you. You don't know how many chances you're going to get.
And they're in that division. I mean,
right.
You're going to count on Boston winning 79 games or whatever it was, 78, 79 games, whatever they won this year in the future. I mean,
right. 90 wins or so, 92 wins got you second place, got you home field even. But there's an adage in baseball that home field doesn't mean much, and momentum is next day starting pitcher, and it's true. I mean, there's a reason it's a cliche. It's because it's true. But the division series are set. Yankees and Guardians, Astros and Mariners, and then in the National League, a couple of division rivalries: Dodgers, Padres, Braves, Phillies, and there you have it.
All right, David, we had an interesting debate last week in which you claimed you were going to continue on with Cooper Rush if he won, because it's all about winning.
Correct.
Cooper Rush was 10 of 16 yesterday, and he threw for 102 yards in their victory.
I know.
They ran the ball very well, both Pollard and Zeke. They combined for about 160 yards of rushing. They got the job done mostly because of their defense. And now the Eagles are next week. And we talked about if Dak was ready, and it certainly seems he's ready. That's all they talked about during the broadcast yesterday is how well he shook everybody's hand, so that grip's back.
Right. Well, it's not like they get to see him to throw the ball, so they don't have much to work with.
Nope. But if he indeed is healthy enough to play, and the Eagles are the next game on the schedule, are you thinking about rescinding your decision to start Cooper Rush yet another game, despite the fact that he's won 4 in a row? But it was, again, 10 of 16 for 102 yards.
Right. There is no doubt that his production is diminishing by the week. Although I will say, and I have to give Mike McCarthy and the offensive coordinator some credit. Unlike many of the head coaches who are just looking at their play sheet and not paying attention to the game and the score and what's working, the Cowboys are paying attention to the game and the score and what's working. And they are running the football because their defense right now, first off, they've done something which no team has done in the last 20 years or 50 years, or at least is start with 5 consecutive games giving up less than 20 points in every game. So they are playing to their strength. And since their offensive line is not a great pass protecting line anymore, guess what they're also doing? They're running the ball. Mark, here's my problem. And it's kind of like what has befallen Jacksonville here on Sunday. There are a lot of Jags fans that are like, well, why didn't we just run the ball? ATN was averaging 7 yards a carry. Why didn't we stay with running the ball? Trevor and company were struggling to move the ball once we got close to scoring range. Why didn't we just run the football, kick some field goals? Wouldn't have taken much to win this game. The Cowboys are sticking with the plan, and it's working. And the fear is you bring Dak into the fold, and Dak will be like, okay, we were the highest scoring offense in the league last year with me as the quarterback. This has been fun to watch, but let's get back to playing how we want to play. And I want to go, no, Dak, this is how we want to play, even with you. We just want you to throw the ball better than Cooper. That's all. We're paying you $40 million a year. You should be able to do that. So, Mark, that's my problem. My fear is, of course, Dak Prescott's better than Cooper Rush. Please.
And you've never once said anything but that. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to put words in your mouth and trying to paint this picture in which David said he was going to put Cooper Rush in for the rest of the year. All David said last week, all our debate was, if this exact thing happened, And basically this exact thing, David, that they go in there and they get a win and their defense is good and they run the football well. We didn't even talk about Cooper Rush having a good game. We basically talked about Cooper Rush holding the spot for Dak. Does he hold it for one more week? That's it.
I'm inclined to play Cooper Rush. Even though 10 of 14 for a $1.02 is probably not going to beat the Eagles. Probably. But Mark, do you know what he's not doing?
Turning the ball over.
At all. At all. And that defense right now is standing there, hands on their hips, going, so who out there thinks they can go 80 yards on us? Raise your hands. By the way, you're wrong.
No, they've realized that every once in a while, 2 first downs and a punt is a really good drive.
Yes. And in fact, 1 first down and a punt's a pretty good drive. Right?
Because if we can continue to flip the field on teams, we trust our defense to do a better job than we think their defense can do.
And now, do I think they're going to start Dak? Last week, I thought they were going to start Dak. And I know you're going to be right. But what part of the Bull Durham line, Kevin Costner looking at the youngsters saying, you don't with a winning streak? I mean, you could see it in Jimmy Johnson's face on the set last night after the game. I mean, Jimmy was all but saying, you don't change a damn thing. You don't change the play calling. You don't change the guy under center. You don't change a damn thing.
By the way, was there a fishing tournament in L.A. we didn't know about? What the hell was he doing there past 4 o'clock?
I know. There's got to be a commercial shoot or something today.
There's something going on he had to spend the night for.
Yes.
The first thing I thought when I saw him in the afternoon set of games, like, what are you doing there?
I'm thinking, was Sean Payton unavailable? I mean, was everybody on the road? What's going on? But, yeah, maybe there's something going on with Fox. I mean, the A-team was out in Los Angeles yesterday. I mean, they had Aaron Andrews in studio for the noon pregame show. I mean, that's, right. Something was different.
Olsen as well. They had him in the studio. You're right.
They are selling that hard.
I think you have to.
Why? If he's being replaced in a year, why do you have to? That's
just getting divorced, David. There's no, we don't know if Tom's going to be available. He could be playing next year.
Well, no, I guess that's true. It's a possibility. But I mean, why do you have to sell us on Greg Olsen if he's going to the B team next year? I mean, Greg Olsen's basically Cooper Rush. I mean, why do you have to sell me on Cooper Rush? I mean, I'm just keeping him because, we got a nice little streak going, but I mean, he's not better than Dak. I mean, Greg Olsen's not better than Tom Brady, right? I mean, we're paying the one guy like $600,000. We're paying the other guy like $400 million. I mean, what do you have to sell me on Greg Olsen for?
It's a dadgum good point when you put it to me that way.
Just curious. Why the sales pitch for the backup quarterback? If we're playing the starter as soon as he's available, why are we selling? Don't sell me on the backup quarterback. Miller and Moulton.
Well, as long as they can keep protecting Tom so he doesn't get hurt on the field. I mean, you throw someone down that violently.
Oh, boy. Imagine if the way the Bills threw Tua and the way the Bengals threw Tua to the ground, if that was done to Brady. I mean, would the people be suspended?
Or arrested?
I mean,
felonious assault of a quarterback is what that would be, David.
Did anybody laugh 30 seconds into Sunday Night Football last night when they threw Joe Burrow down like a rag doll on a sack? And I'm like, oh, man, that's got to be roughing the passer, right?
That's going to go on all year now.
Oof.
And the best part is Tom Brady's getting blamed for the call.
Right. It's his fault. He was the ragdoll.
Miller and Moulton. We thank you for listening. Back with more in a moment right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Just sent it, David. That's on me.
DC, I did not. We text a little bit during the Alabama A&M game, and we text yesterday morning during the Packers-Giants game.
Did you tell him during the Alabama A&M game that you were working?
Yeah, that's why he texted me.
Did you text back that Gary doesn't text me when I'm working with you?
Okay. It's kind of hard because sometimes I'm answering people's texts while working for him. So, it's tough for me to,
Gotcha. To be sarcastic.
right.
And sarcasm, as we've pointed out, does not go over well on text.
No.
Unless you finish with LOL. You have to LOL any sarcasm.
Yes, or a smiley face or something.
Yeah, wink, something. You need an emoji.
Right. Well, Deadstruck, I'll say this. With the Dolphins opening up as a 3-point dog, that tells me that Vegas thinks he's not playing. That's vague. That's Vegas thinking it's Teddy Bridgewater against the Vikings. Is that because of school hops or? Hops, I'd love to know what that font would be. A sarcasm font.
It's a great.
Oh, that would be like lowercase, then uppercase, then lowercase, then uppercase.
That's too much work. Good morning, Steve. Oh, got nothing from no volume from you, Steve, and I don't know why.
Nope. Wait, Steve?
Can't hear a thing.
But he can hear us.
Yeah, he can hear us, and we can't hear him. And we're set up on the same thing. This makes no sense. I got nothing.
We got 10 seconds.
We're coming back. I can't hear him. I can't do this.
I think the phones might be working, so maybe I'll call him.
Try.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hoping to catch up with Steve Carney, founder of stpete9.com. Have a quick conversation about the Rays and where they go here. We're trying to hook up with them via link. We could see them. We just couldn't hear them. Mark, he says he's going to try a different setup. So maybe we'll see and hear from him again.
All right. Don't know what it was because it's the same system that I'm connected with you on, and I can hear you.
Right. No. I know. Just wanted to pass that along. Otherwise, we'll continue talking mostly football, a little bit of baseball, though. The best of 3. And curious, how many of you watched any of it? 4 games Friday, 4 games Saturday.
I watched a ton of Friday baseball, David. A ton.
Okay. All right. Now, it would lead me to believe if they would end the season on a Sunday and play this best of 3 out on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Think about it. 3 of the 4 series didn't even have a game 3. I mean, you would have only had the Mets Padres going up against Thursday Night Football.
David,
and
I'm with you. I mean, I watched a ton of baseball on Friday and did not watch a pitch on Saturday and watched some of game 3. And the only reason I turned on Mets Padres is literally because DirecTV last night had a technical glitch in which I watched the football game for a bit of time. And so I had to switch to it, or switch off of it, I should say.
Miller and Moulton, joined by, we believe, Steve Carney. All right. Founder of
Hello, gentlemen.
stpete9.com, stpete9.com. And you can follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, thanks for your time. We're a little pressed for it. It's a short segment. Listen, they lost 14 of the last 18. All 14 losses, they scored 3 runs or less, and they scored 1 run in 24 innings in the series. Is this a bad 3 weeks, or?
Yeah, I think it was. To put it mildly, you played the Yankees 6 times, you played the Astros 6 times, you played the Cleveland Guardians 5 times. I really do think they ran into a stretch where they played a lot of very good teams, playoff caliber teams that have playoff caliber pitching. So I really do think it's just a stretch of good pitching overtaking some pretty struggling hitters.
Struggling hitters, or is this a case in the offseason that, and we know they don't like to spend money, so where do they find the bats, or is this just a matter of you think they'll do it the same way they've always done, bring up some more guys from the farm system? We know they're not going to sign a lot of free agents. How will they change, if at all, this roster heading into next year?
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of change, Mark. I think that if you're looking at this team, and really if you look at what they'd be looking for, catcher, first baseman, the pool is not very big free agency wise either. I mean, you look at it, probably the best first baseman that's going to be out there that doesn't have an option for next year, I think, is Josh Bell, who is a Scott Boras agent. So he's going to be looking for the most money possible. I just think that if they get Brandon Lau back, they've got a couple of guys in the farm system. I think that they're going to give a look at first base. If they don't bring G-Man Choi back, I think you could see Jonathan Aranda play first base. Obviously, Harold Ramirez can play first base. I think that they're probably going to be going the I hate saying the cheap route, but it really is. I think that they're going to be looking for guys that they have control over, that they can use in the long term as well as in the short term.
Well, there's a report that the White Sox are going to break up the band and that Jose Abreu may become available. And I remember, Steve, the Rays were actually the second to last player left for Freddie Freeman. They were, Freeman,
and
it came
Olsen.
down. Right. And so do you think that maybe, because supposedly it was like $25 million a year that was on the table, a shorter term contract. Could you see them? Is there somebody that you think, if they were willing to give, Charlie Morton $15 million a year for a couple years a few years ago, they offered Freeman 25. Is there somebody that you think they should then make one of those offers to this season?
If you're going to make an offer to a free agent first baseman, there's 2 guys that are out there. Both of them are going to be 37 or 38 next year. Abreu is one. The other is Yuli Gurriel of the Houston Astros. He's going to be 38. I think you could get either of them for a short term, but I don't see you going more than maybe a year with maybe a club option for either of those guys. And I think both of them are going to be looking in the vicinity of $16 to $20 million a year. So I think that those are probably the only 2 guys that if I'm looking for a free agent first baseman, that I'm looking at Abreu and Gurriel.
What does that bring to the clubhouse, though? Because that's not really their MO of going to the older player. Do you think there's any synergies there that they needed something like that on this team to when things go badly? Because that's not really what they normally do, Steve.
No, it isn't. But they, if Eric Neander and Peter Bendix really think that, we need to go outside the organization to bring another piece in. You look at both guys, Cuban, I think that they've got a really good Cuban contingent inside the clubhouse already with Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, et cetera. I think that it could be an interesting dynamic if you do decide to go outside the organization. But you're absolutely right, Mark. That's not something that is the normal MO for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Steve Carney, stpete9.com. stpete9.com covers the Rays, host of the Under the Orange Roof podcast. Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. We got about a minute and a half here. Kiermaier, do you think he's played his last game for the Rays, yes or no?
The short answer is yes. I think they're going to give him the $2.5 million and send him on his way.
Is Mike Zunino the catcher?
No, I think that he's a possibility to bring back. I think they like Mejia and they like what Christian Bethancourt brought, but I don't know if Mike Zunino's played his last game because I think is a guy that's willing to take a hometown discount.
He's a Florida Gator, also grew up in the southwest coast of Florida. You think they bring Kluber back? I mean, these three guys we just mentioned add up to close to $30 million. That's a lot of money for the Rays.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, David. But Kluber, I think, is probably 50-50. I think that if he wants to come back and the front office feel like they can fit him in their budget, I think he could be back. I mean, how many guys that are going to be your fifth starter made 31 starts last year? Kluber is one of them.
Didn't go deep into games, but it is true. He hadn't made 31 starts in a season in like 4 years. Steve, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it, and hopefully we will catch up early in free agency.
I appreciate it, guys. My cousin lives in Port Charlotte, just got his power back. Hopefully things are going well for you down there.
They are, Steve. Thanks so much, and thanks for grinding this out to get on today. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast, talking Rays baseball. Do you agree with them, by the way? They just ran into good pitching, and they don't have to go get multiple bats?
No. I don't completely because they're not a great offensive team to begin with. That's not how they win games, but I agree with them that they're not going to go out and do anything because they don't spend money.
I got a quick first base solution for him. Donovan Smith, former first-round pick of the Mets. He's a left-hand hitter. There's no room for him in the organization. I'll bet you the Rays trade for him. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I watched the whole comeback that the Phillies made. I watched a lot of Friday baseball. Didn't watch any Saturday. Didn't watch any Sunday. Watched an inning or so Sunday.
I watched a lot of baseball on Saturday.
I turned on the Indians Rays when I found out it was in extras.
I was watching that on my phone at the UM game. I wanted to see who would pull away. Miami Hurricanes have played a lot of stupid football this year. Ten seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with you. A weekend dominated by football, but the baseball playoffs did get underway. We are curious, how much of it did you watch? 4 games Friday, 4 games Saturday. And did it interrupt your college football at all with certain games running long, etc.? Or did you avoid it and or just, nope, not on my radar? Just kind of curious. I mean, you and I both think, Mark, that baseball should go back to finishing on a Sunday, and they should be playing this 3-game series Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They would have went up against what was considered the worst NFL football game that's ever been played last Thursday if they would have ended last week. Or this week, they could have gone up against what's going to be the second worst football game ever played, and that's between the Commanders and the Bears. Not to mention it's Amazon Prime, and they have completely cowered down to the National Football League. I totally understand and support them staying away from Sunday. I'm not going up against the NFL if I can help it. I would try to make Sundays as many off days as is humanly possible. But I'll take them. I'll take college on Saturday, and I'll take the NFL on Thursday night. Baseball decided not to do that.
One other thing that came from that just awful Denver-Indianapolis Thursday night game was a call for, hey, college football, we can't go back to scheduling some games on Thursdays? I mean, believe it or not, I would switch over and watch, an AAC game right now. I mean, sure, there can't be a game at South Carolina or Virginia Tech. I mean, some of the schools that used to love to play Thursday night games, I could go for one of those right about now. Maybe not, but
now,
curious.
Does the visiting team have any say-so in conference over that? Because, you remember Pete Carroll saying we're never going to play here again on Thursday night.
It depends if the commissioner wants to listen to him. My guess is in a Power 5, they have more say because the team could go, why are we playing this game on this day? But I mean, how could you object if you're an AAC school?
I'm not even referring to the AC. I'm talking about Power schools.
Gotcha.
I'm with you there. But you said South Carolina, and all I'm thinking of is I'm South Carolina. Hell, I want Georgia on a Thursday night. I want somebody that I might not have as good of a shot to beat, get them on a short week when I can play them at night at home. And if I'm running the SEC, I'm not allowing that to happen.
And if you notice, they basically don't play Thursdays except maybe the first one at the very beginning of the year. We know most of you don't bet, and we do talk a decent amount of gambling on the show, and we do it because there are a lot of you who do, but also we do it because you really can learn things from Vegas. They don't have to report it like an Adam Schefter, but the line can tell you what's going on, even if no journalist is telling you what's going on. One of the biggest surprising lines of last week was Kentucky at home against South Carolina. South Carolina's not that good. Kentucky's a solid team. Why was the line 6? Kentucky wasn't saying that their starting quarterback wasn't going to play. They were just saying he was banged up. Okay, but we have every intention of playing him. And yet the line kept going down. And sure enough, who didn't play? And sure enough, who won? South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And so I fully expect the Dolphins to play games this week, unless Tua's out for a month. I fully expect the Dolphins to try to do what Nick Saban did last week with the whole Bryce Young, well, he's practicing. Yeah, he was at practice. Okay. Did he throw passes? Well, what do you consider a pass? Beyond the line of scrimmage? Not really. So it's a game time decision with Bryce Young. Really? Okay. He was actually announced in the starting lineup 12 minutes before kickoff.
That is something that, first off, would never happen on Sunday, obviously.
Right.
I mean, think about that for a second. They announced Bryce Young as a starting quarterback in the Alabama A&M game.
Right. In the stadium, they announced it.
Right.
Okay. So much so that because we're going with he ain't playing. And we watched warm-ups. He didn't throw a pass. He literally did not throw a pass. And he's announced as the starter, and he was the last player announced. Got the biggest ovation. He is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner after all. And I took the headset off, and I go, so we're sure he's not playing? I go, because if so, that's the, biggest gamesmanship I've ever seen in college right there. And so now we're back to Tua. And the Dolphins are 3-2. And yeah, they've lost 2 in a row. But the Vikings they're in first. They're 4-1. But, are we treating the 4-1 Vikings the way we're treating the 4-1 if they win tonight Chiefs? The 4-1 Bills? The 4-1 Cowboys? And yet, Mark, who's favored Sunday?
The Vikings are favored by 3 on the road.
Isn't Vegas telling you Tua's not playing? They're telling you it today. Right away, they're telling you he's not playing. Okay? Just don't listen to what the Dolphins say. He's not playing. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater at best.
By the way, I do think of the Vikings in the same way I think as the Cowboys. I just, you were on a roll there. It was a little bit of forget it, he's rolling. You really went Chiefs, Bills, Cowboys?
Well,
is that a tell there that you think a little more highly of the Dallas Cowboys, than the rest of us? Or at least than me?
I just couldn't. I can't put the Cowboys in the same category as the Giants because I still don't think the Giants are even good.
Okay, fair enough.
They're just 4-1. Carolina was 3-0 last year, finished 5-12. I'm telling you, when the Giants start losing games, they can lose 6 of them in a row. Their leading receiver is a guy who didn't play professional football last year. Okay. Some of this really is smoke and mirrors. The people who are covering the team are joking about, we don't even know who half these guys are.
And they just beat the Green Bay Packers coming from behind in the fourth quarter.
Right. On a neutral field.
Right.
And by the way, there were 3 times as many Packer fans there as Giant fans. That's how neutral it was.
So the first thing my wife said, I turned the game on and they show the crowd and there's these cheeseheads. And she goes, did they all come from Wisconsin? And I said, I think every Packer fan, everybody from Wisconsin that's in Europe right now has traveled to London for the game.
Speaking of which, and we probably should have been talking about this sooner in the show, but we wanted to make sure, we covered everything that's happened from Friday afternoon right on through last night. Did you hear what Goodell said over the weekend? So Goodell's over in Europe, and he's going to get the proverbial, hey, we ever going to have a franchise over here? And Goodell says, seriously, I got to admit, one franchise is a little awkward for us, but we're thinking, could we have a European division? And he says, because London can have 2 teams like New York and LA. And and he was drop dead serious about a European division of the National Football. He said, we've talked about it with logistically and games. He goes, it can work if we have a European division. A one-off, that doesn't work for us. And he said, matter-of-factly, London can have 2 teams. There's enough support in London for 2 teams.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. I mean, not to go all Bill Clement, my favorite all-time commentator, whose only word he could get out of his mouth was wow. But that does hit me right there with wow. And there's 2 things I'm thinking. One, is he actually telling the truth when he says they're thinking about a European division? Or is this a way to talk like they're going to expand in Europe and continue to do the same thing they're doing? Because I'm trying to figure out, one, you wouldn't be able to move franchises, I don't believe. Although we've talked about the value going up. If you go from Jacksonville to London, what that franchise is inherently worth the moment they move.
Yeah, double. No,
Because,
seriously, Con makes $2 billion if he moves from Jacksonville to London. $2 billion.
and would there be 3 other teams willing to do that?
Well, listen, it's been whispered about the Bucs.
It has.
I mean, let's face it, when Brady finally retires, and if they go back to being mediocre or worse, let's see how many people are filling up the ship there. But here's my question. A 9th division? And so obviously the whole division's in a conference of its own. What, are we going to have 3 conferences with 3 divisions in each? I mean, you're going to have one conference with 5 divisions, the other conference with 4?
Well, see, I'm thinking just 4 teams moving. I'm not thinking expanding because there's not enough players to do that. Does anybody watch the offensive line play, or for that matter, the quarterback play?
Would they get rid of conferences entirely and just X number of teams make the playoffs? I don't see how this works with conferences. I mean, you and I both think that eventually baseball is going to be like, 32 teams. They're going to add 2, there's going to be 32, and there's going to be massive realignment, and it's all going to be done geographically. At least I do. I think you're going to have the New York teams in the same division, the Chicago teams, the LA teams, the whole deal. It may take 10, 12 years, but I think in the mid-2030s, that's where we're going. But, I mean, Roger Goodell was serious. I mean, you don't throw this out there to the European media out, I don't believe, as I'm just throwing some meat to the lions. This is all, but it's bad meat.
I think it would be moving. I don't think that they're ready to go to more teams, David. I don't think you're talking 40 teams in the league.
He was talking about a 4-team European division. And I don't think there's 4 teams. I mean, listen, we all think the LA Chargers isn't working. If you want to argue about where are the 4 teams coming from? Buffalo's not moving. All right. Let's just say Jacksonville and Tampa are ripe to move. And the LA Chargers, okay, great. Where's the other one? I mean, I don't see it.
You know what? You're going to laugh at me for saying this, but you look at what's going on in the city and the money factor and talk about value for your franchise. Baltimore Ravens could move to Europe and they'd also be worth $2 billion more tomorrow.
Wow.
I think you're crazy to think there wouldn't be a fourth team that wouldn't look to move for the financial gains that would be there.
Boy, and the Ravens own Baltimore too.
I understand.
But I thought those comments from Goodell were interesting. And, they were done, across the pond, and we had all the college games and the pro games, and it was just kind of, oh, interesting. And everybody moved on. But that's the first time, unless I'm mistaken. You ever heard anything like that before?
No.
And this came from Goodell. This does not come from a columnist. This did not come from one of the 32 owners just talking about, because Kraft has always talked about how he feels London is viable and all that. No, this was the hammer.
That would be as strange as it gets. Does that mean the Premier League is going to have a division in the States?
Well, hey, listen. Formula One's running how many races in the States? 3? I mean, world's getting smaller, I guess. I mean, what are we going to
London for a game?
Hey, like some of us wouldn't want to do that once.
100%. How many of us want to go to Vegas to see our team play the Raiders?
I just want to go for the F1 race. Oh, they're racing down the strip? Seriously? I'm in.
Miller and Moulton. Happy that you're in with us. Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Lake City. We thank you so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. In the 239, the bonus hour is on the other side of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right, I have a problem with this. Why do they make dispensers for towels in bathrooms so that you have to use 16 towels? Couldn't they just give me a longer one and I just get one?
Whoa. Is this like at a hotel?
No, it was right here in this bathroom. I got to use at least 3 towels to dry my hands.
Oh, like a paper towel. Gotcha.
Yeah, paper towel. Drives me nuts. By the way, I'm all for the European division. That means 4 9:30 games. I am in.
That'd be nuts. Did you hear what the Brits were chanting after the Giants-Packers game on the street?
Yeah.
You can shove your cheese up your...
Mm-hmm.
Shove your cheese. Shove your cheese up your...
Well, they are better with the chants than we are.
Yes, their fans, crowds are some of the best in the world. I get goosebumps just watching European soccer games.
Well, when they behave.
Right.
Because when they go over the edge,
and they riot.
Vault over it.
Yeah. But when the flares stay in the crowd and not on the field,
yeah,
it's amazing. And they're funnier than we are.
Hey, man, $43 million. You're the ace. We made you the highest paid player in the yearly salary in the history of baseball. You got to do better than that.
Yep, you do. I told you. I got to text you after and said, boy, you're right on this one. Once he started giving up dingers, I'm like, oh, man.
Hey, the Phillies fans booed Mike Schmidt for years.
I love that Adam can come talk to me directly about my towel situation because he's in the business. Really fires me up, Adam. But to understand, for this building to spend a dime on anything would be shocking. And I'm including radio equipment in that.
Listen, I have you can be both at the same time, Canada Relief. You could say, wow, they had a really good regular season, 101 wins. But in the last 10 days, they played 6 very important games, and they threw their 3 best pitchers in all 6 games. They went 1-5. I mean, it is what it is.
You got that right. So is Ross in third? Did I read that right? Is he in third?
Yeah, he's in third. He is
just barely in third, right?
25. He's 25 points back, and I think fourth is either 28 or 31,
right.
Something like that.
10 seconds.
Chase is a 20-point lead over Logano, 25 over Ross.
Okay.
Ross finished like 34th yesterday,
right.
And he led laps.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. I'm in Kansas City. Monday Night Football tonight. Raiders and Chiefs. The first of two AFC West Monday night showdowns. Next week, Los Angeles. Broncos and Chargers. Also, what came out Saturday, Mark, is that Russell Wilson had minor shoulder surgery Friday after the loss. They claim some sort of impingement or something like that. And so they've got, I think, 11 days from a Thursday night game until playing 2 Mondays later. And so be interesting to see if he plays.
Very interesting to see if he plays. I would think it's no better than a 50-50 proposition right now.
I mean, obviously he'll try to, and when you sign a $250 million deal, even though it's an extension and hasn't kicked in yet, you feel an obligation and all that. Plus, it's an absolute must for him at 2 and 3. But just throwing that out there about Russell Wilson. Apparently, he had minor shoulder surgery. The injury list is staggering in the NFL right now. Absolutely staggering. And Mark, even the Niners have won 2 in a row, and they went from last place to first place in a week, and they lost 4 guys yesterday. And Bosa's got a groin injury, and you don't know if that's week to week or 4 to 6. So it's fascinating to me that the staggering injury lists right now in the NFL.
And it's something you and I have been harping on for years. But I don't know if this year's any different than last year when it comes to the number of injuries and key injuries. But the fact that they're not letting them dress more players, the fact that the roster size hasn't increased, when you're seeing this go on in games and you're seeing teams basically have to piece together a line in the National Football League, it just, from a sense of a quality product, doesn't make sense to me, David.
Mark, we're finishing up the 5th week of the NFL.
Yeah.
The Patriots have played 3 quarterbacks. The Dolphins have played 3 quarterbacks. I mean, the Niners are already their starters out for the year.
Dallas lost their starter in week 1. He's going to be back maybe this week.
Yeah, and he's missed a month. I mean, that's just the quarterback position. And there are other injuries, and guys have been benched. But
Herbert was all banged up with the Chargers, almost didn't play.
Right. Probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have the game that he played. Right. I mean, the list, it's...
your Giants had to go to a third quarterback.
Right. In the same... They played 2 quarterbacks in the same game, and Saquon Barkley took snaps to finish a game. The Dolphins were without, they started 2 tackles, and by halftime, neither was in the game, and neither was the quarterback. I mean, that seems unusual to me. It just seems as if guys are more banged up sooner also. And you're right. Something needs to be done about the roster size, because there are too many teams whose seasons right now are being wrecked because they don't have capable offensive linemen. I mean, Matthew Stafford's going to get killed. And I'll tell you what, Kenny Pickett's going to have a hard time lasting the season in Pittsburgh. Okay, because he got hit.
Yeah, he's young and thinks he can stay, doesn't have the pocket awareness, has just been in there. Stafford at least has been through this, and you think is smart enough to get rid of the ball. Kenny Pickett's going to get killed, David.
Yeah, they can't run the ball. So, and they're going to be behind a lot. So he's going to be in there throwing a lot, and they are going to be all after him. Now, the Bills are good at getting after the quarterback, particularly when they had a lead a minute and a half into the game. But still, Kenny Pickett is going to have a hard time lasting the season. 3 more months of what he endured yesterday? Yeah, he ain't going to last the season. And you also realize just with so many quarterbacks who have been hurt, like you look at the Niners and you think, well, damn, the Niners can go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, what if something happens to Jimmy G? I mean, it's it. He's all they got now. And this is a guy with an injury history. 3 of the last 6 years. He's missed considerable time. He's got to go 4 months healthy for them. They got nothing else. And if he does, they go to Super Bowl.
If he doesn't, they could go on a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah. So tonight ends 5 full weeks. It's been a remarkable 5 weeks in terms of A, the teams who we thought would be good who right now are not. And B, man, the injury lists are big. Key players, too. I mean, did you see the graphic at all? Did you watch Sunday Night Football at all last night?
Good chunks of it.
They showed who the starters have been at left tackle for the Ravens this year. Okay, I remember, last night was their 5th game. They were on their 4th starting left tackle. Now it's Lamar, and he can kind of fend for himself and the whole deal, but still. I mean, it's 5 weeks in.
It's, and look, we give the Dolphins a pass because Bridgewater knocked out the first game. They're on a 3rd-string quarterback. But what the Jets are doing with what their offensive line is pretty damn remarkable right now.
Right.
They showed that graphic during the game, and I doubt you were able to see that, David, because you're traveling. But they started just showing the line combinations for the Jets.
Right.
They're on like their 6th they've had a different line combination every game they've played.
And everybody focusing on the offense for the Dolphins, is it Tua, Bridgewater, this, yeah. The defense is not exactly getting the job done. Now, maybe they're being worn out. They did play 90 snaps against the Bills, then had to come back and play 4 days later against the Bengals. I mean, maybe the defense, quite frankly, is a little worn out, which is not a good sign 5 weeks into the season. But, Mark, what was one of the questions that we had about the Dolphins entering the year? Who was running the defense last year? If it was Flores, which many of us thought it was, well, he gone. If it was the defensive coordinator who they brought back, well, okay. All right, we're good.
And it's tough. It was, 19 points through 3 quarters. You handed them another touchdown, and things started turning the wrong way.
Right. But look at the Dolphins' defensive rankings. There are 3 big stats. They're in the bottom quarter of the league in all 3 stats. Is that just a statistical coincidence? Or do they miss Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator? We'll see.
And by the way, their special teams are all in the bottom 3rd in every category as well. Those 2 things do not bode well. They need to be fixed quickly.
And this league is relentless in terms of, hey, no excuses, not feeling sorry for you. Got another opponent next week, and we'll crush you like a you-know-what.
And now there's enough film to start being able to get after teams with where their deficiencies are.
So,
by the way, it's another reason I'm starting Dak this week. 4 games of Cooper Rush. Every game's gotten worse. The more film they see, the more he's getting exposed. But that's a story for another day.
No, and hey, the one thing I got on my side, 4-0 is 4-0. And it ain't easy to do.
Nope.
And so why do you change anything when you just went 4-0? I mean, where were we a month ago? They lost the opener, and Dak's going to miss a month, and we're all like, well, man, the Cowboys, by the time Dak comes back, hell, their season could be in the tubes.
David, not just that, they'd have a new head coach by then.
Right.
I mean, you think, quick revisionist history, Dak's hurt. McCarthy's going to get fired. That was the storyline after week 1.
Instead, did you see McCarthy post-game in the locker room? Hell, he's telling jokes and they're laughing at him. It was a month ago. Remember, Mike McCarthy was not funny.
Well, they were laughing with him. They were laughing at him 4 weeks ago. Last night they were laughing with him.
No, they're laughing with him. Right. And he's telling jokes at Jerry's expense in the locker room, and they're all laughing, including Jerry. That's a 4-game winning streak right there. So just an observation. Man, the injury list is unbelievable. And think about it. It's affecting now college football. The number 1, 2, or 3 team, however you view them. Their great quarterback may not be available. It doesn't take many in the right-hand column to eliminate you from the postseason. And they got the 2 Mississippi schools in Tennessee, and 2 of the 3 are on the road. And we're not even talking LSU on the road. And I'm sorry, if you saw how they've played with the backup quarterback the last 6 quarters, don't tell me, oh, they'll handle LSU. Really? Because the guy who replaced Bryce Young doesn't seem capable of throwing the football.
And LSU can actually play a touch of defense. But the bigger point is the injuries.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even look at, Richardson's not gotten hurt, but think of the Gators. Why were they running the offense? Why were they scared to run the full offense? Fear that if their quarterback went down, they had nothing. That they couldn't play the way they wanted to play for fear of their quarterback getting hurt.
Kentucky season just ended Saturday. Why? Their starting quarterback, who's a first-round pick, couldn't play against South Carolina. Where would Texas be if Quinn Ewers had stayed healthy instead of getting hurt in the Bama game and then missing the next month? Very good chance Alabama would already have a loss.
Miller and Moulton trying to play through injury once in a while. Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me. Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So Tennessee's looking to be 6-0 for the first time since '98. This is the first time that Bama and Tennessee have played where they're both undefeated since '89.
Wow.
Game day hadn't been to Knoxville in 5 years. They're going back for the second time in 3 weeks. Fox is going to be at the Big House.
Yep. Well, it's pretty cool. We got a big SEC game and a big Big Ten game without, with only one of the normal four, with one of the only normal four players, if you know what I mean. You just got, Ohio State, no Georgia, no Clemson. You got Alabama, but you got Michigan and Penn State. It's kind of nice that there's some big games that don't. By the way, Oklahoma's a 7-point favorite over Kansas. Don't you think that's going to get bet down and be like 5 by the time it's all said and done?
At Oklahoma?
Hang on. I don't know.
Yes, because Kansas scared the crap out of them at Kansas last year. They had the lead in the fourth quarter.
Okay. I mean, it's 6.5. There's no way the line. If you could get that at 7 right now, I'd jump it.
So the Athletic did a deep dive on the Paul Chris firing.
Yeah, on recruiting and bad recruiting and.
Well, what's interesting were some of the parents of the recruits and their comments, and they didn't have anything bad to say about them. But they're just like, it's different now. It's not, especially some of the dads who were like, you can't recruit my kid the way you recruited me. It just the generation is different. But the other thing was that before last year and now this year's class, Wisconsin had the 3 best recruiting classes they'd ever had. 2019 through 2021. And that's why there are some people that are like, listen, there's talent on that roster.
Well, they went out and played well.
Wisconsin, Georgia Tech, Arizona State all fired their coaches. Have all played really well after firing their coaches.
I will say, of all your bets, the one game I was really into the most was the Arkansas State game. I couldn't help but follow that score throughout.
So Southern Miss was 4-0 against the number. I take them. They lose. Arkansas State 5-0 against the number. Getting 11. Lose. Can't cover.
By the way, who's having a year is the Bear.
Yes.
Having a year.
Well, the all-time best year was Fowler used to do a segment when he hosted the show called The Mighty Dog, in which he would pick one underdog to win straight up.
Right.
And he got like 11 weeks into the year, and he had picked 10 straight underdogs to win.
He was thinking they were 7-point or more underdogs too, weren't they?
Yeah, he wasn't taking, minus 2,
it wasn't
plus
a
2.5.
minus, it wasn't a 4.5,
Right.
or
No.
it was.
And then like Thanksgiving weekend, he finally got one wrong.
Canada relief. I felt the Bills were going to run away with it after the Dolphins beat them.
Adam, are you sure you got teary-eyed for that, or you got teary-eyed with the way they played in the second half?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day one. Some final thoughts all coming up in 20 minutes' time. I'm in Kansas City for Monday Night Football. Chiefs hosting the Raiders. Mark, I'm staying in a hotel I've never stayed at before. Not just in Kansas City. I don't think I've stayed in this company's hotels before. It's a nice hotel. And I check in yesterday between 2 and 3 o'clock. And I know I'm a little early before they let you check in. I'm hoping, they'll let me slide. And I look around. There's a lot of women. And that's a little unusual for a hotel. I mean, usually...
Knew you were showing up, didn't they?
Usually, it's a lot of male business travelers.
Right.
And... I mean, a lot of women. Like, I'm in line. There's 8 people in line. I'm the only guy. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen this before. And then nothing but women coming in the front door in groups. And so finally, my turn. I walk up to the counter. 4 women behind the counter, by the way, waiting on you. And they want to go, name and what have you. And I go, listen, I'm going to give you all this information, but you got to answer me something. What's going on? And they go, we got a convention here. I go, really? What's the convention? And they go, National Women in Sports Convention.
Huh.
And I go, am I allowed to stay in the hotel? And they laugh and they say, yeah. Okay. So obviously, I've been here now 16, 18 hours. And Mark, I went 6 women come into the elevator with me, and I'm invisible. They're continuing the conversation. They're dancing. They're holding their drinks. Okay. And finally, the one looks at me kind of like, you going to get involved? So I start chanting with them too, like, sorry, I don't have a drink. Mark, I think there's 8 men in this hotel, and 5 of them are Joe, Troy, and their 3 spotters.
Normally, I'd say that's a target-rich environment, but all of you are married.
Well, yes. But I mean, the ratio is right. There's a part of you that thinks, wow, to be single again. And then there's the other part of you that goes, my goodness, there's a lot of women here. I mean, this must be the opposite of like when a woman shows up at like an all-male country club.
How did the dancing go? Were they appreciative of your dancing?
Absolutely.
All the other stuff is fine,
right.
but
no. Well, Mark, okay,
you're good in a chair.
I'm good in a chair. I'm good with the little motion in the ocean. Okay, yeah.
But an elevator is good for you too because it doesn't require a lot of footwork. More upper body dancing, of which
totally.
You are a much better dancer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can move the arms and the shoulders and, my big melon.
The head a little bit,
right. And it's a big melon.
It
so,
looks like a bobblehead. So as long as it's in time, you're
right.
good.
It looks like, wow, he's really dancing.
Quick question. Who's a better dancer with a couple drinks in them, David Moulton or Mark Miller?
Boy, you got to go back to the Super Bowl.
Oh.
You got to go back to the Super Bowl. We closed the Clevelander one night.
You were on the dance floor that night.
Yes, we were.
Not together.
Yes, we were. And for the record, the Clevelander closes at 4. All right. And we closed it.
Nice.
Now we were doing afternoons then.
I would probably give Moulton the edge on dancing because I consider myself a horrible dancer.
Because Moulton's got the arms down more.
And I'd just rather grab a chair and pop a squat.
Right.
I mean, I will if I have to.
Gotcha.
I do remember that particular occasion. The song came on going low, 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 and I partook.
Oh,
Mark kind of looked at me like, dude,
it's
3:20 in the morning. You're on your own here.
Yeah, I was worried about David getting up from going low.
Right.
I thought I better stay because I might need to help him up.
Shorty had them apple bottom jeans, boots in the fur.
We were going low, Felipe. We were going low. And I was still at an age where I could get up. Okay, now forget about it. Right. Yeah. Like if those ladies in the elevator were going low, yeah, they would have gotten off on whatever floor and I would have been lying there. Right.
Can you drag the old guy out of the elevator?
Yep.
We think we've killed him.
Yes, they'd walk off the elevator going, somebody needs some help here. But National Women in Sports Convention. And
walk in some guests for tomorrow's show during lunch.
And there's 8 guys. That's what makes up the dynamic. And this hotel goes to like 23, 24 floors too. So.
And they picked Kansas City.
I know.
Good lobbying by the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce to get the convention there. Whoever's responsible for that, good on you.
Well, remember, the whole central, middle of the country, that's their big, big selling point. It's less than a 3-hour flight for everybody to get here.
Right. You know where conventions work? 2 cities, Orlando and Las Vegas. That's where people show up. Other than that, participation levels are always down. Doesn't matter the industry. It doesn't matter the time of year. Well, if you send them to the mouse or to the casino, they get it done.
So I met up with a friend of mine for about an hour last night. And I come back into the hotel. And they've got a huge bar restaurant to the left. First off, it is unbelievably loud. And there's not one guy in it. And I mean not one. So I, of course, wander over. And I just start walking through the crowd. Just for the looks. Just for the looks. I mean, come on. I'm going to go out to my room. I'm going to go to bed. I mean, I got to entertain myself here. And so I'm just walking the bar. Huge bar restaurant. Huge. And it is loud. And they got the baseball on and they got the football on. And I'm just, getting the looks kind of like, hey, you do know we got a convention going on here. And it specifically says women in it. What makes you think you're part of this?
Ooh, you stepped into girls' night, didn't you?
Oh, whew. I stepped into girls' night, a convention. And they flew, they haven't started the convention yet. This is Sunday night, early. They don't have anything till 8, 9 a.m. on Monday. Oh, yeah. And they've left the guys at home. They've left their gals at home, whatever. Okay, they're out. They're in the middle of the country. What happens in Kansas City stays in Kansas City.
It's because no one wants to hear about it.
Right. So.
Didn't stay for a drink in the bar?
I couldn't get to the bar.
Forced out.
This isn't like guys at a bar. Okay. I mean, if you're 3 deep guys, you can work your way in. You're 3 deep with women. They look at you like, I'm standing here. Okay. Yeah, you are. No, I'll just wait. Thanks.
Miller and Moulton. Always in line, never getting through it. The good, the bad, and the ugly is coming up next on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. David, did you see Jeff's comments there?
What?
Look at Jeff's comment. That's really funny.
Bill,
I've seen them all. It's quite a crop.
Bill Garrity is the best of the three. Best looking of the three. He's not tall, but he's dark and handsome. All right, Bill Garrity. And then, Sfida and I would be a toss-up. What helps me is Sfida dresses worse than I do. Sfida dresses almost like a baseball beat writer.
Justin Tucker has made 60 straight field goals in the fourth quarter and overtime. 60. Ten seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we're out of here on this Monday. Thanks so much for being with us, Fox. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, there's one game tonight, and I mean, that's it. Hockey doesn't start till tomorrow. Baseball's got a day off before the division series start. NBA, not yet underway, close, but not there yet. I mean, got one game.
Do you think you're in for a game, or do you think you're going to see a bit of a blowout? That Raiders offensive line's a mess.
It's tough to predict a blowout in division games. In fact, the closeness of the division games so far this year in the league is stunning, how close the games have been. So I know Mahomes has only lost once to the Raiders. Spread 7. I think it's a game for a while. I do. I am curious, does Andy keep running the ball? I mean, if he does, they're probably the second best team in the AFC.
And they will. I don't think they cover tonight. I actually think you get a good game. Because this is the season for the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, this is their season. Make no mistake. They lose this game, they're done.
And yet, if they win, they're a game out of first. And they're digging themselves out.
So I think you get a game, but I think in the end, Kansas City wins.
First of 2 AFC West Monday Night Football games, Broncos at Chargers next week. I will say, Mark, because of the fact that there is nothing else sports-wise on tonight, if there's a game with the size of the Raiders fan base and the popularity of Mahomes, like I ran into 5 different groups of people who got off the Atlanta to Kansas City flight that I was on, in which they were going to their first ever NFL game with their kids, and their kids wanted to see Mahomes. And the parents were fans of neither of the two teams. Like an Atlanta family made the trip because the kid wanted to see Mahomes. So they got tickets and they made a weekend out of it and the whole deal.
By the way, you mentioned Andy Reid running the ball. I doubt you saw it. I don't know how many commercials you saw, but have you seen the new State Farm commercial with Andy Reid?
With Andy Reid, no.
Drawing the mustaches. He's drawing a mustache on the guy. They're doing that whole thing, telling you something personal about yourself, the whole campaign. Right. And Andy Reid's looking at Jake there, and he says, when people fall asleep on airplanes, I draw mustaches on their face. And then Mahomes walks up, and he's got a mustache on his face. And he says, it happened again, coach. He's, I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
It's just great that they put Andy Reid in it in his big, loud shirt.
I do love him in his pseudo Hawaiian shirt during the
whatever
draft.
Those are.
All 3 days, too.
And that's what he's wearing in the commercial.
NFL might as well let him wear it on the sidelines.
They need he and Daly in the same foursome in a scramble right now. That's all I'm saying. That's a pro-am pairing that I need to see.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1916, Charlie Ebbets becomes the first owner to raise the price of World Series grandstand seats up to $5 from $3. So we have Ebbets to blame for postseason increases in tickets.
1916?
Correct.
I think it was either today or yesterday. Babe Ruth went like 14 innings in the 1916 World Series game and a complete game win.
We jump to 1923, where the Giants and Yankees become the first teams to play each other in 3 consecutive World Series. It was also the first World Series game played at Yankee Stadium. 1951, the Yankees beat the Giants to go back-to-back. Phil Rizzuto, who we mentioned earlier in the show, was the series MVP. 1963, From Russia with Love, the second Bond film, premieres in London. 1966, the Beach Boys released Good Vibrations. 1968, the Tigers beat the Cardinals in Game 7. Mickey Lolich is the MVP. He went games 2, 5, and 7, right, David?
Correct. And Gibson, who had won 3 games in the 64 series, 3 games in the 67 series, and had won games 1 and 4 against Denny McClain in this series, Gibson's only postseason defeat.
Giant Stadium opened today in 1976. The Cowboys would beat the Giants 24-14. And we jump all the way to 4 years ago when Hurricane Michael made landfall near Mexico Beach, Florida. Those born today that are no longer with us, Thelonious Monk and Frank Stinwich, former Heisman winner from the University of Georgia. Those celebrating birthdays today, golfer Bruce Devlin is 85, actor Ben Vereen is 76. Bobby Nystrom is 70, David.
Scored the Stanley Cup winning overtime goal in the Islanders' first Stanley Cup of their 4-cup dynasty. And Bobby Nystrom, I think, had like 6 career playoff overtime goals.
Great hair.
Yes.
Great salad.
Didn't wear a helmet.
No.
Tough guy, too.
David Lee Roth is 68 years old today. Criminal Brett Favre is 53. Quarterback Brett Favre is 53. Mario Lopez is 49. Chris Pronger and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are both 48. Troy Tulowitzki is 38.
Too low.
Andrew McCutcheon is 36. And receivers Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 28, and Cortland Sutton, 27 years old. And that is Today Was a Day When. I'm sure I missed stuff today, David, because I couldn't find anything. So what do you got?
Happy birthday to the Navy. The U.S. Naval Academy opened today 177 years ago. On this day in 1845. Mark, it was 35 years ago today that Whitesnake's Here I Go Again became the #1 song in America.
David Coverdale in one of the greatest videos ever.
I was going to say Tawny Katane made that the #1 song in America.
Damn right she did.
Who are we kidding? Christopher Reeve died 18 years ago today when he was 52.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
You know, I think we probably could have used this guy for a couple of different times, and we actually may have during the pandemic. But Bob Tabarini goes by Sideshow Bob. He's been playing music in Southwest Florida forever. Bob's a great dude who's done a lot of good things, and he continues to do some. He's been showing up at the different food distribution sites and playing music just to put people in a good mood. And you know what? I'm guessing people are thankful of that, to say the very least. So I thought it was worthy of our good today. So thanks, Bob. For the bad, Scott Sosha of Lancaster, California, has been arrested. You see, he was in a little road rage incident, and he didn't like the way the person in front of him was driving. So he passed the car, shined his laser light at her, and then slammed on his brakes.
Oh, come on.
Rear-ended him. And he got arrested.
Of course. Well, glad they got it right.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Colombia, where an Instagram influencer decided to do something really stupid. She held a party at a nursing home, then showed up with strippers. Right. It sounds somewhat harmless. The problem was it didn't go well. As she said on Instagram, "Today I held an erotic party for older adults and got the biggest scare of my life because I did not expect what happened to happen. And the truth is, I'm very sorry. I just wanted to give them some fun, and I did not expect that situation." The situation was it scared the hell out of one of the women so bad that she had a heart attack.
Oh, snap.
And in the pictures, you can see the people in the nursing home attending to the lady who is having a heart attack. Fortunately for now, the woman is still alive, and we will try to give you an update if there is one. If you're going to send strippers to someone's house, send them to Felipe's. He's the one that needs it. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, this 10th of October, 2022.
Pause.
Am I wrong?
Fort Myers or Miami?
Am I wrong?
Right. Come on now.
It doesn't really matter the location.
No, I think it does. I think it does. Especially if we're comparing Fort Myers to Miami. You know, is James Harden coming to Fort Myers anytime soon? I didn't think so. Unless I'm missing something.
There's a phrase. Beggars can't be choosers. Might want to go take a spin in that car today. School's not back for another week in Lee County.
Miller and Moulton on this Monday.
Monday Night Football tonight. Chiefs and Raiders. And David will be checking in from the Women in Sport convention tomorrow morning.
Yes, I will. In fact, I'm a little intimidated to go downstairs for breakfast. But in theory, the conference has started 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock local time. So, they should be in their business attire and all serious and ready to go.
Just stay away from those hallways when the meetings end, David, when they all congregate out to get the drinks of water that are waiting for them there.
It's the elevator that really, first off, getting on the elevator, and then it's stopping at every floor. I mean, the hotel's absolutely jam-packed. So I'm trying to hide in the corner of an elevator. Do you hide in the back corner, or do you hide around the side in the front corner where, like, in theory, the elevator can open and they almost could not see you?
Problem there is both sides usually have buttons.
Right.
So I would go back corner to try to stay. But the problem then is they might not let you to the back corner. You got to hope that you're on first, that you can get your space. Because if you jump on with a bunch of people, then I would get to whatever corner you can, David. Take a standing 8 count and do what you got to do.
What was most enjoyable, though, about it is that the women did not stop their conversations at all. If you think about it, how many times are you able to even have two people talk to one another on an elevator if somebody else joins? It's kind of like, okay, now we have to be quiet until we get off the elevator and we get away from this complete stranger.
It's one of the more silent places in society. Everybody on the elevator shuts up.
Right.
I mean, even the guy that's talking on his phone doesn't work in the elevator, so that's shot.
So meanwhile, they were in such a party mood last night. They came onto the elevator. They kept singing. They kept dancing. They kept talking. I had the one lady, chastise me. Hey, you need to sing along, dance along. Okay. I had different elevator. A woman walked on and she said, "Don't mind us." And I said, "Oh, I won't."
You know what? Go down for breakfast and get a table for 4 to yourself and see how it goes. Try to get a little extra space. Either that or you got to get both of Joe's spotters, and the 3 of you have to have breakfast together, so there's numbers.
The problem is they're working Sunday football. They still have a gig. They're spotting for Adam Amin on Sundays. So they fly in either really late Sunday or first thing Monday morning. So it's just me. I can't, there's nobody for me to have breakfast with.
I think you'll make it. I'm expecting good R&D on the show tomorrow.
Totally. I'm going to go down with my phone and take notes, take pictures and notes. I am looking to see if somebody famous is here. I mean, besides Joe and Troy, I mean, it's the National Women in Sports Convention, right? I mean, got to be some people here, right?
You'd think the speakers would be pretty good.
So, you think I could just sashay into the back of the room and maybe catch a lecture?
Not a chance in hell.
No, I don't think so.
I don't even think they'd let you come in to change the water out, David. Not while the meeting was going on.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm allowed to walk down the hallways, come to think of it.
About the one area in the hotel you're probably not allowed.
The convention area.
Now Moulton wants to go to the convention area. You could all tell by that grunt.
Absolutely. Want to stand in the back, say, "Don't mind me. Just passing through." What you ladies talking about today? I do a sports talk show. Just curious.
Guest list may change for tomorrow. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin will be on the show tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you then.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on